higher end. I've got one of the higher end John Deere's, but big chunk of money. But I've got a big piece of land, and I haven't replaced belts on it yet. And I use it. I've got a snowblower mounted on the front of it, and a big three-blade mowing deck, and sucker just runs as nice as can be. I change oil once a year and oil and filter. I guess I've been lucky, and I should, knock on wood.
Yeah, my sister's got the next size up. She bought from the Deere dealership, and I never thought about it. They don't have this model at the dealership. They have parts, but the parts are interchangeable. But um, well, it's what you get. You get what you pay for.
Yeah,
Um,
unfortunately. Yeah.
I wanted a zero turn, but the wife said I could buy a new lawnmower, and I was just getting walking again, and we were sitting on the front deck, and I whipped up my iPad and yeah, I can get a lawnmower, and it was done. I didn't want to give a chance to change her mind.
Wise man.
Yeah.
When the wife gives permission, jump on it.
Oh yeah, easier to get forgiveness than permission, but when you get permission, rock and roll.
You got
Uh,
it.
yeah. All right. Hey, hope everybody's been doing some turning. We got a fantastic gallery tonight. It's only about 5 minutes long, but I mean, I've been bombarded with photographs from all turners from all over the world, which is why we're worldwide, and some great looking work, some great ideas. And what I like about seeing photographs coming in and folks take them in their shop is I can see things they're doing. Not that I'm snooping on them, but how are they holding it? What's on the machine that they used last? What tools are laying out? Things like that, because then it gets you thinking and thinking and thinking, and I like it. I saw one from a guy, I think it'll be in next week's gallery. He sent it to me and he says the tenon popped off. His tenon was about 4 inches long, and it broke right in the middle, and it looked like it was a softwood, you know, not a needlewood, or a needlewood, not a leaf wood, and it just popped. And you hang something out that far out, you better have a pipe in it or something. Um, but he saved it. He turned it around and saved it, and he used the tip. I think we saw. I'm positive we saw here in meetings with a piece of PVC and a piece of compu- pardon me, mouse mat from your computer cut out to go around it, and he was pushing against it, and he could manage to get it in the right line, and then go back and clean up that tenon. And I think he cheated on one of my old details. He got it on there, and when he wanted to remove the balance of the tenon, he took out some strapping tape and strapped the piece onto that faceplate he had the piece the PVC on. Um, I've done that. It's not a recommended thing unless you understand your maximum speed is going to be about 100 RPMs in order to make that slice, and you better be right when you make it. So a lot of other things going on. In a little while, we will talk about the new events calendar. That's right. Worldwide Woodturners is always making a change. You got to change it. You stop growing. We're going to place an events calendar. Oh, not going to. I mean, slow up. You think we're going to tell our webmaster to do something and and he'll get around to it? No, he was 2 steps out in front of us before he even said, "Hey guys, David is developing or has developed. I'll get that right. An events calendar on our website." But you say, why events? I mean, we meet every Wednesday. All right, that's one event. This weekend, Martin Clarkson's going to do a 17. I've got 17 hour here. I might have had that wrong. Um, and from last week, he corrected me. Um, but Martin's got
17
his
hours.
program coming up. What's that, Billy?
17 hours.
That's 17 hours. I hit it right. All right.
Yep.
And
it's going to start at 10 a.m. Sunday morning, and it's going to go till 3 a.m. Monday morning. That's UK time.
Are you going to do the conversion for us?
I can't remember what it is.
6 hours.
I just had it up
Yeah,
on
I
my
know it's
phone
6
a minute
hours.
ago.
Like, I wasn't sure which way though.
They're 6 hours ahead of us.
So that would be 4 a.m.
If they start at 10, that's 4 a.m. our time.
Yeah. Okay. We did it. We got together. It was a joint venture.
So I guess who's going to call Eddie and wake him up?
We call him the night before, and we'll just keep him up.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I got that taken care of. I got a sleep mode on this thing. It won't ring.
We'll get Ronnie to come knock on your door.
Yeah, right. You're going to get Ronnie up at 4 o'clock that morning. That'd be a good one. I'll be awake just to see that happen. But I can't talk. I had, I want to call it aqua size. My wife says it's playing in the pool. I've been doing the aqua size with my hospital and went to their center and did it last Wednesday. And nice guy, and he worked me out a good bit. And I came home and slept for about 3 hours. But we've been going every day to the pool at the health club and repeating what he taught us, or taught me. And my wife is with me at the same time, and the high step and then the side step and then all this other stuff. And it's a good workout, really is. I mean, I come home whooped. Today, after Robert got a hold of me and put me through the next level, I came home and slept another 3 hours. Whew. Man. But he said, he's going to get me in shape. What shape? Round?
You're going to feel better than you felt in a long time. You just don't realize.
I'm walking. It's only been a week and I'm walking better.
You exercise and you get energy, and you get more energy and you exercise more. It's like a snowball.
Yeah.
It's so much better.
I've just had a problem since I had my tumor with, I say my horizon left. Every time we've had evaluations for seizures and all that, that's been the key thing. The horizon leaves. I can be walking and all of a sudden everything starts, and if I get around something with lines one way or the other, my brain tries to refix on them all. So, or what's left of my brain. So, but hey, if I get past that, I can walk again on a regular basis. And today I just came out the drive, walked up front, grabbed the trash can and brought it back. Big mistake. Damn.
Now you got to do it again.
No kidding. I mean, there should be a freaking warning or something.
My wife tells me that I turned the trash can the wrong way when I put it by the street. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll fix that. So I didn't put it by the street today.
Mom would tell me when I put it back today, I put it the wrong way. When she comes down the ramp, she has to walk past it to open it or something. And, I don't put it that way.
I always turn the handle towards the guy picking it up so he can grab it, makes it a little easier for him. She says, no, it should be the other way. And I'm like, okay, you're right.
Well, I tell you, you can tell when the trash man passes in my neighborhood up here in Jefferson. 5 minutes later, every trash can on the street is out in the street.
Yep.
They've never perfected walking them back.
But
hey, by what we paid, it should put it back in your yard and cleaned it for you.
I know a lot of people that only get trash pick up once a week. We get it twice. I guess we're blessed,
Yeah. Well, we get billed on our water bill monthly for trash pickup and a bunch of other stuff. What amazed me I don't normally look at bills. I'm rich enough to have the accountant take care of that. But last month I saw the bill when it came in. More than half, almost 3/4 of my water bill is for picking up trash. So, you know, and since we don't eat out anymore or bring home takeout food, we could probably go a week or 10 days without putting the trash out. It's amazing when you cook inside and eat what you cook, how little you throw away. And that's just a habit of the world we've gotten to be. That's how we've just gotten to be. It's you what my daddy used to say, you can't fix stupid, give up trying. Um, so hey, I told you.
You just feel like you need to eat out. You feel like it's a social event. Really, the food you're eating is horrible for you.
Yeah, we found a couple of weeks ago we happened on a little sandwich place near the house. It's only been there for 72 years, and happened upon it, and to get a medium-sized po' boy sliced in half with 2 soft drinks is under $10. You know, and we like the place. And well, you talk about people watch there. All right. I told you we have our events calendar popping up. Tonight we also have our tips and tricks. I have one. Hope it's not a repeat. I didn't mark them right when I shut them down. We also have some stuff on the Freedom Pens. I have a couple of photographs of Freedom Pens to show you from you, our turners, who turned in Freedom Pens. Man, you talk about, you got to be a high stepper to catch up with these guys. They did some beautiful work and a lot of it for Freedom Pens, and it's a great project. And one of them, in fact, one of them doesn't send his pens to us through with the current First Sergeant Doug Rowe. He sends them to the Joe Kelly Freedom Foundation and Freedom Pen Foundation. And Joe Kelly, Sergeant Joe Kelly, he's passed on. Joe got me involved in where to go with Freedom Pens. The first, I told him I want to mail him some Freedom Pens, probably 18, 19 years ago. And he's, oh yeah, here's my address. And a couple of days later, he called me. He said, "Are you kidding me? There are 1,000 pens in this box." I said, "Yeah, I've been turning them for a year or so." And he was, I bought the kits for a major discount from somebody going out of business. And, it was just my payback for the people that worked with me when I was out there serving the nation. And I thought, hey, this is a great program. Joe was a character. He was, and his replacement is a Joe. And he's just as much a character. But Joe Kelly could really get some pens out. Also, we're working on some stuff for the newsletter, which is a great way for us to give you a calendar that you can, a gallery that you can print out and show your friends, your family, or whatever, or tack it up in your shop to get ideas or see what happens. Got a note here from somebody named Barnes that said we gave him credit for a piece in last month's newsletter and he didn't do it, but leave his name there because it looks pretty damn good. So, but sometimes putting this stuff together, my head will get twisted. Now, especially when I'm doing the gallery that goes on, I have to check it about 3 or 4 times for names. And I have had a couple of get by me. Hey, if you got a gallery item tonight, all you need to do is put it in chat and say, "Hi, I have something for gallery." Our gallery master, Dane, will look it up. We'll call you. Hey, look, here's the deal. When Dane says, "Hey, Dane, what do you have for gallery tonight?" Start talking. Yeah, start talking. We're looking at a screen with maybe 100 faces on it, and it'll turn yellow and blink if you're talking. If not, he's got to go through and read all the names until we find you. So just, it's easy. Just start talking. I think our demonstrator popped in just now.
Yeah, he sure did.
Yeah, tonight. And the guy was just talking about Rick Barnes with the piece that I had mistaken. He just popped in also. Good evening, Rick. Nice to see you.
Eddie, now not to interrupt, I have a tri-finial on my lathe too. If you give me 5 minutes, I'll show how that's turned.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey,
First ornamental
Trey,
turn
hey,
is.
Hey, Cade.
hey, Eddie. Hey, everyone.
Hey, Kate.
Hey, Trey, can you set Cade up for co-host, please?
Sure.
Yes.
How's everyone doing? I got that urn all done and
Doing
hollowed out.
wonderful, Kate. How's yourself?
Hey, pretty good. How are you?
Wonderful.
Didn't have any
Vertical,
problems with that.
full belly.
Didn't have any problems with that oak, huh?
No, I didn't have 99 problems, but oak wasn't one. No, I didn't have any problems with the oak. I got that all. I haven't done the lid and finial yet, but I just took a couple stains off the shelf. And I want to ask the Englishman of the group which one looks most like brown oak.
Evening all, how you doing?
There he
Paul.
is right there.
Hey, Paul, how's it going?
There he is.
Not too bad.
Which one of these look most like English brown oak? So I have this one here, which
Yeah.
is a stain on red oak.
Yeah.
Hold on, Kate.
Right.
I
Let me
gotta highlight
spotlight you
you.
here, Cade. I got him, Eddie.
All
I
right.
tried 3 different stains. So the
Yeah.
urn is made out of red oak because here in Canada and North America, I can't get English brown oak. And it would have cost the customer a fortune for me to ship it from England. So I talked him
Yeah.
into using red oak or white oak, and I can stain it to match to look similar to English brown oak. So I tried.
Yep.
I have the urn turned. Here's the urn. I'll show it later in show and tell. But it's laminated red oak. And I tried 3 different stains to see which one looks most like red oak or English brown oak. So
Yeah.
here's one of them.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
this one has 2 on them.
Yeah.
One on the left.
Um,
You're right.
I'm just going to have a
That
look, see if I can find a piece to sort of hold up for you. I
I
might have
have-
some around here.
Here's the 4 of them here. I was thinking the bottom one, but
Yeah, the bottom one looks good too.
this
Ah,
one's
I've got some in
pecan.
here somewhere.
I think that the bottom one's good, Kate, but I think what I would probably do is mix up your colours so that you put an undercoat on and then add the top coat so that you get almost what looks like a grain differentiation. You know,
Yeah.
like what you do with your pots. What
Yeah.
you double stain them, don't you?
Yes.
That's what I would
Yeah.
do with that. I would double stain it using them 2 colours, probably the bottom one and the
Yeah.
Or these 2
I
or the
think
lighter
the
one.
base colour needs to be
The baton
darker
and
than
the
all of
bottom.
those.
Yeah, the base,
Personally?
yeah. You could even go darker than that. When you've got a good
Yeah,
brown
yeah,
oak,
definitely.
a good English brown oak, it would be darker than that, kid.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
okay.
But he might get dark if he puts 2 lots on.
Well, I was gonna put
Yeah.
probably 2 coats, and then I'm putting tung oil over top. So the tung
Yeah.
oil has an amber tint that will slightly darken it, slightly. But yeah, that's a good idea because I could do one under the other, and then the lighter one will come through as grain and chatoyance and stuff in the red oak.
Yeah.
Double stain it, kid. It'll give it it'll give it a bit of life.
Okay.
And brown oak definitely has life.
Okay. And when I stain these 2, it'll actually darken this one a bit more, so it's darker anyway.
Yeah.
That'll
Yeah.
be good. Because those are the only, well, this one is a mission oak stain. This one is a Provenance, and this one is a golden pecan.
Right.
So the darker one I have is Kona, which is way too dark, I would think.
I'm just going to go and find a piece of brown oak. I think it's out in my shed, so I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Cool, thanks.
That's what you can get here at our club, folks. Live. You have a question on something, get it right here live. I spoke with a brand new turner, young turner, named Mary Vandever, and she's out of Sun City, Arizona, and she's just getting started in turning. And I mentioned we have a couple of members out in Arizona, and she's going to join up and probably get into the group. Now, we want to take it slow on the beginning turners or novice turners. She's only 83. And she called me today. We talked for a long time, and she's a really nice lady, and she sent him a young 83, and she has good attitude with her. So we hopefully she'll be with us next week. And remember, folks, if you talk to somebody about our club, and our list of clubs is over 40 clubs long right now, ask your members of your club to join in with us. To be part of this organization or lack thereof, and to get together and talk about wood turning every Wednesday evening right here at the tailgate. And we'd love to hear from each and every one of you if you got a situation or a problem. And we have that gallery going every week. We have a demonstration. I shortcut it when we saw Paul Hannaby come in. We welcomed him, but Paul will be doing our demonstration for us tonight. And I'm looking forward to that. From Great Britain, our worldwide woodturners demonstration. I think we're covering Europe, Asia, America, Australia, and South America right now.
Don't forget Canada.
Hey,
I never forget Canada. I used to go to
Kate doesn't
Canada.
let us forget Canada. Kate
Got
doesn't
all
let
the
us forget
continents except
Canada.
for the Arctic.
Hey, Martin, while you're in here, pop in. Let's give one quick early burst about your project this weekend.
This weekend, this Sunday morning, where you'll all be asleep, I'll be turning or starting turning. But when you all wake up, come and join me. All the information's on. I'll put the link in the chat. I'm doing a 17-hour turn for Ukraine. It's not a remote demonstration. It's just lots of shavings and lots of chat. So anybody can just join in, come along, chat to whoever's there, watch a bit of turning. I'll be there for any questions if anybody wants to ask anything, but I'll just be turning the usual items that I always turn, and all the proceeds will be going to the Ukrainian refugees, as well as the items that I've made will be sold through my usual means, and that money will also be going to the Ukrainians.
Now, you're based on London time for time zone?
Yeah, London time zones. Start time. Last time when I told you all about this, I was a little bit out on my times. For some reason, I've decided from 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night was 10 hours. It wasn't, it was 12, which now means I can have a little bit of buy-in. We're starting at 10 o'clock UK time, and we are finishing at 3 a.m. UK time. So to give you all an idea, this meeting for UK time runs from 12 o'clock till 3 a.m. So it will be about the same time on the Sunday evening that you'd be able to come along, and that would fit in with what you're doing. Or if you're up earlier, come along and join us anyway.
Okay, looking forward to it.
Hey,
Always
let me add a little comedy to this. I was working with Cindy Dorset to put our information on the website, and she looked at your site and said, "Hey, you have the wrong day for Worldwide Wood Turning meeting." And we had to correct her and said, "No, it's correct because it starts at midnight. Therefore, it actually starts the next day."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all got a chuckle out of that because she was saying, no, he needs to correct this website. But
Well, we've now taken your idea, and there's a clock on my website that tells you when we start.
Oh, nice.
It won't give you the correct time, but what it will do is it's a countdown. I think there's so many hours left till we actually start.
But that was our conversation with her. She, when I was working with David on the event, working on the event calendar, and that was one of the comments that she said, well, Mark needs to get his thing straightened out and get the right day for our meeting.
Hey, Martin, can you explain the significance of the 17 hours why you're doing the 17-hour turnathon?
Yeah, the reason I come up with the 17 hours is because that's the average time. I don't think a lot of people understand how big Ukraine is. And a lot of the people who have had to travel to try and get to safety, on average, have traveled nearly 17 hours by car just to get to a safe country. And I just felt that standing at the lathe for 17 hours is a good way of understanding how far these people have had to travel to try and get to a safe country. And it was the least I can do, really. And in my head, lots of people, you know, that they'll run up mountains or they'll walk miles. For me to be standing at the lathe for 17 hours is quite a challenge. You know, I have been practicing. I've been in training. My legs are bigger now.
So that rumor that it was just because you couldn't count to 18 wasn't true then?
That's right. That's right. So yes, the significance is that they travel literally on average 17 hours to get to a place.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, it's very difficult to understand when your life is in danger and you've got to get to a safe place. That 17 hours must be an awful long time for somebody.
Yeah, that's a long time.
It's a long time.
Yeah, dreadful.
Cade, I found some brown oak.
Oh, sweet. I did throw another piece of stain. I grabbed my Kona
All right.
and I threw Kona on this piece here just to see. It's much darker than the Mission Oak one.
Hey, hold on.
What have you got? What have you got?
That picture's that.
So that's the
That's
Kona.
probably close. Yeah.
This is the Mission Oak.
Yep.
And then the top, here. This one was Golden Pecan, and then the other one over here was Provenance.
Well,
yeah, you see that piece there? If I put my finger over it, that's a pretty much a big close up. That's my sort of fingernail.
All right, hold on. I'm going to pop it up as a dual spotlight. All right.
So yeah, so that bit there is about as big as the tip of my finger. I'll show you on a wider cam in a minute, but I'm just trying to show you a close up of the grain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that bit there. If I put my finger there, you'll see it's as big as the tip of my finger, basically. So that's close up. But if I just move that and I'll put it on a ordinary camera, it's a biggest chunk, but that's the sort of colour of it.
Oh,
how dark that is, Cade.
Yeah, you nailed it. The bottom one you had, Cade, was spot on.
Real close.
this one
Okay.
here.
Cade,
Yeah.
if I go the other way and share screen for a second, I'll show you the difference.
Okay, cool.
The brown oak in the UK is effectively a fungus that runs through the tree. And what I was saying to you earlier on is if you get a good English oak tree that has brown at the bottom and white at the top, at some point within that tree, the brown will start to disappear and you end up with what is effectively a tiger kind of pattern.
Yeah, they call it tiger oak, don't they? Yeah.
I've got one I'll share screen, which is a piece of burr brown. And that's what I was trying to say to you. You can see the brown.
Oh,
You see
yeah.
the brown running through it.
That is
So-
gorgeous.
By putting 2 or 3 different tones to it, you'll create something similar to that. So don't get too tied up on what colour it is. You can mix it because the English brown oak, if you get a nice piece, you'll get lots of variation in colour. Right the way
Yeah,
through.
it's not always as uniform as that piece I've got here.
No, that's a very bottom of a tree, isn't it? Proper brown.
Yeah, it is pretty much. Yeah.
So don't get
So
too hung up on it, kid.
So the Kona was way too dark. I should go with the Mission Oak and then the Golden Pecan undertone.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the Golden Oak. And then that would be the Golden Pecan undertone.
Yeah, I would mix them up, kid. It'll make a nice job, but don't worry too much about it because there's a lot of variation in brown oak.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Kona would just be too dark.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone. That's
You're
great.
welcome. Thank you, sir.
I think we all got an education there.
Yeah, I'm sorry for
yeah.
getting with gallery first.
You know, that's really how and why this club was formed, is to share information. I mean, from everybody. Just now we heard from 3 different folks or 4 different folks about the colors and color changes, and from the bottom tree to the top of the tree. And in fact, I was talking to somebody the other day and I said something about sapwood, and he said, "Sapwood, is that different than wood?" And he misunderstood that the piece he was working with, the sapwood, the cambious layer on the outside, is radically different than the heartwood, and they change as the tree grows. But the best piece you can get is slicing out quarter sawn and getting the match, because you can't stand it to that. They're very distinct lines, and they're very beautiful. So we do a little more in sharing for those tips and tricks on how to get colors out of something or how to add colors to something. I would very much like it. We should be joined by First Sergeant Doug Rowe a little bit later on this evening. Unfortunately, we won't have First Sergeant Doug Rowe with us after this week. It's a terrible thing. It really is. You know, he's going to go back to being a civilian. He's completing his tour and retiring, and that happens on the 23rd. I believe that's Saturday. It happens, and there's a link through his Facebook, I believe, on how you can watch the ceremony and the event where he gets I don't want to say marshaled out. He's
His friend's
retired.
going to stream it on his Facebook page.
Yeah. So
10 o'clock, 10 a.m. Arizona time.
10 a.m. Arizona time. All right. Now, and really when this was being developed, Doug was one of the first folks I called because he was so involved. He was involved with wood turning when he was still in the sand several years ago. And he's involved today. And maybe now we won't be catching him rushing back from the Army to the house. He can be in the shop and be sharing some of those things. He's got some good items in the gallery tonight. I mean, some really nice pieces. And he does live Facebook occasionally.
Hey, Eddie.
Hey.
Hey, Eddie. Yes. Now, are we going to have to call him Mr. or what?
Oh no, I wouldn't call him Mister. That just that ain't gonna go. And remember, he works for a living, so it's not sir.
I think we need to stay with Sarge, because he didn't lose it. It's not going to lose his title.
No, it stays
Carry
with
it
you.
with him, so I don't think that we need to change his name at all. I'm going to call him Sarge.
Sorry.
Agree.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me the other day about this, and I said join in on this, and he said, "Well, can I join? I mean, y'all all know each other by first names, and you get, you talk about Brenda being a Band-Aid thing, and Trace and the work he does, and Dane being the demo man, the demo and gallery master, and all these other folks. Can I join in? Yeah. What's your name? It's just that simple. You want to come in, you want to say hello? Say hello. If you want to share something, share something. You got a question? And here's the deal. We may have heard all the questions, and somebody may think we're categorize them into good, bad, indifferent, or whatever. That doesn't happen. But there's no such thing, and I believe that there's no such thing as a stupid question. It's a request for information. It's not a question. It's a request for information. Um, if you have a need for that, that's what we want to do. And if I can help you, look at this. Cade's in Canada, and we went to the UK to get a response on stain color, and had American turners get involved in it. You know, and here it is, Donald sitting back in Australia saying, brown oak, brown oak, brown oak. You know, so you know we cover the gambit, and all those questions can come to turners who are used to them, and yeah, and that's what we want to do. Beat the horse to death, but that's what we want to do. Looking here to see some other items we have on tap.
Hey, Eddie.
Yes, sir.
Matt Harbor's got something to add about the sapwood discussion you were having earlier.
All right, let's go to Matt Harbor. How you doing, Matt?
Good, thank you very much. Howdy, everyone. Yeah,
Congratulations, Matt.
Oh, that was like last year, you guys, but thanks. That was like 2021. I appreciate it. Whenever the question of sapwood comes up, I show people this picture here. This is cherry, and this is a bowl I turned, and the white is the sapwood, and the red is the heartwood.
Yep.
So that's what I show people. I say this is the difference, and it's just the outer wood, and that's what it looks like in a turned piece.
Yeah.
Real nice embellishment.
Yeah, and well, thank you. And if you look carefully, like you can see, I got a little bit of the pith in this. And people say you never leave the pith in bowls, and I'm like, well, I can get away with it sometimes.
Yeah.
Right at the edge, the pith is in it, running.
Consistency.
Yeah.
It is
It's all
gorgeous,
about the
Matt.
bowls being consistent.
But it's great to have something like this sitting in my camera so I can show people. So anyway, that's all I wanted to show.
No,
So,
okay. Thanks, Matt.
Beautiful work.
Yep.
I mean,
Nice.
Yeah, very nice.
yeah, you guys all know I have a Celtic art obsession, so I haven't done some of that in a year or two, but I put it on bowl rims and plate rims and all kinds of stuff. So
it's a nice looking addition to pieces, and it's, you know, we have a couple in the gallery tonight, and boy, I really don't do names. Some are embellished with a basket weave around the rim, or basket weave design around the rim, and they actually, remember, if it catches your eye, that's the key to the piece, to catch your eye. And wouldn't you rather have that accent catch the eye than to see a blemish in the finish, or a round not round? And for those that don't know this, rounds can be not round. How do you explain? Rounds have an even sweep to them. A not round has got a flat spot in the middle of that sweep. And it just means you pulled along and you hit a soft spot, or your body motion, and a lot of it's body motion, your body motion's irregular and you didn't take that half step to finish the turn. And that half step, and really it's a half step, you need to step over to keep your body in a line for the pivot of that curve. If something goes out and you get the little flat spot, in your mind's eye, do you believe that nobody will see it? Really? Put a finish on it. You'll see it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it stands
Look
out
at
like
a
a
piece
sore
of
thumb.
glass.
Exactly.
Glass is flat. If glass had a ripple in it, what are you going to see first?
Yep.
The ripple. Same
yeah,
thing happens when you turn.
anything geometric will show up. Anything that isn't fitting in there, it'll jump out at you. I had I got my son in the shop this afternoon, and I'm pretty excited about that because he's been telling me he's going to come into my shop for like 10 or 15 years. And I finally got him in the shop. So, but I got to teach him the rudiments of turning from somebody who'd never done it before. And that's one of the things I taught him this afternoon is the turner's dance and how to move with the piece. So that's very germane to the discussion right now. So it's cool.
Right.
Yeah. And the people laugh about it. It is a dance. You're pulling around a corner or pushing down in a corner, if you don't change the way you control that pivot, all these parts can't do it for you. You need to move all the parts, not just a few, all the parts, and that's that half step. And I learned that from a guy that was 80 plus years old, and he said the hardest thing I have to do all day is do half steps. And he started turning something, and there were shavings on the floor, and I grabbed the broom to move them. He says, "Oh no, I can do the half slide." And he did. I watched him for a while, and he would do that. He would just shuffle his feet over a little bit, shuffle it back, because following his stroke, the picking up feet was an ordeal, and I've experienced it, and it is that. You can't always tell those things where to go and what to do. And he figured I'd just shuffle them over, shuffle them back, and his pieces never had a flat spot in a curve, inside or out, because both of them will show.
Hey Eddie, how you doing with the dance where you're sitting at the lathe now?
I have learned, I'd said about the dust on the floor.
Yeah.
I've got smooth pads on the bottom of that chair, that stool I'm on, and it'll scoot with me. It'll move. Not a rollers. I tried that. That would.
It's probably scary with the rollers.
Yeah, they still looking for that piece I threw off. But no, I'm and it's a thing where, somebody said you never do this and you never do that. I heard you can never turn in a stool, and you can do anything you want to do as long as you want to do it.
Yep.
And I wanted to turn, and I couldn't stand there. And I had to modify the stool. The stool is a different height than what I bought from Northern whatever. And I had to get a different stool with a swivel top on it, and smooth out the bottoms, put fender washers on it so it slides easier. If you see a hill, climb it. And that's all. I saw a hill and I climbed it, and I'm very happy with it. Now some days it's aggravating, because you say, "Oh, I gotta move this, I gotta move that." I don't gotta turn. I want to turn, so I want to move this and I want to do that. And it's not a whole bunch of cliches, folks. It's life. Bottom line.
There's people in wheelchairs, Eddie, that are, can't stand, and they're still turning. They've modified their lathe. They've, modified some things, and they're still doing it. So yeah, you're right. It's still, there's a will, there's a way.
For the turner that showed me the half step, when he got a little further along and having a real problem, I found him a stool. I was working for an architectural firm. I found him a 3-leg stool that had a bicycle seat on the top of it. And he could take the weight off of his legs and flex them a little bit and rest back on that stool. And he got it down to where he could turn pretty good. Now get this, he didn't do huge sweeps and huge cuts. He same way. There was a wall. If he couldn't climb a wall, he got around it.
Well, if you think about it, back in the day, everybody did turn sitting down with the treadle lathes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I've actually done that. It's easier than it initially might seem. Even we've all learned or most of us have learned to do it standing up. But a buddy of mine has a treadle lathe, and it was fun.
Yeah, like
a lot of work.
Yeah, I built one with almost 100-pound flywheel on it. To once you get it moving, you have to either you be a real strong legs or I have some momentum. And I built one like that. I had to get rid of it when I got ill. But I'd reach down and spin that wheel, and I could get my skew out without stepping on the pedal and do slicing cuts. And talk about smooth. That was the smoothest thing I'd ever turned on. I got a question here has anybody heard from Kim Tippin?
Yeah. She's active on her YouTube channel. I was typing up something here for that, but they have a property and they're building a house, but they're sort of living out of a camper, so she's not really set up to turn. but she is on her YouTube channel. She is updating folks on the progress of things. So if you're interested in seeing what she's up to, you can go to her YouTube channel. And I don't know what that is off the top of my head. It shows up in my feed occasionally. But yeah, yeah, she seems fine. It's just she's very busy and not really set up to do any turning. So,
well, if you search Kim Chippen in your YouTube, it'll pop up.
Oh yeah.
And
I'll
subscribe.
go get it and
because
put it
some
in the chat.
Okay, some of her older work, let's say older work, some of her earlier work is very interesting on technique. And although I'd like to see what people turn, I really, as I said earlier, I really want to know not what they turn, how they hold it, how they get there, chucks, holding work, all that. It's all part of this overall game that we play. We're going to do a little gallery right now because in a few minutes we're going to do our video gallery and a few other things. So if you've got a gallery item, throw it in the chat, and Dane Chandler, who's our gallery host, will call on you. When Dane does call on you, please start talking so Dane can find you. And with that, find somebody, Dane.
All right. Well, first we're going to go to Norbert Platz here. Hey, Norbert.
Hey, hi there, everybody. How is everybody?
Good,
All right,
good.
Norbert.
Good. I have a number of pieces tonight, so don't be impatient. I want to show you different techniques and some of the things I've done in the last 6 months. Just having returned from Florida a week ago, so I had to pull out things I've done before I went to Florida. So I'll start with a small box, and this is a lidded box turned on the lathe. And what I did is I did the embellishment. Then, as you know, I do some chip carving. So that's just the triangular chips done in the opposite direction. The inside, you see the bottom, and then the underneath side. So this is basswood. And I do basswood to still practice doing the chip carving and the embellishment, because at this moment, if you get into hardwoods and do it, you'll need some other tools. It becomes much more complicated. So I'll continue with another piece that is chip carved, a triangular box, as you see, with a finial.
I like that. Wow.
And then chip carved in the corners. Thank you. So that, again, that's basswood. This is a Sunday afternoon practice piece because I wanted to see how the basswood responds to turning on a lathe. And you see my little window that I can look into? That was when you misjudge the thickness by being too arrogant and saying, well, I don't have to check it. I know where it's at. Well, yeah, exactly where it was. It showed up.
It was there, right?
It was there, and I didn't have to go very far. So, yeah. So then I have another. What's that?
I said, and it reminded you.
Absolutely, real quick. So here's another box. And this is basswood with some mahogany lids. And the finial is mahogany. So one box and two boxes.
Oh,
all
cool.
in one.
That is cool.
Sweet. So thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
So underneath side, to give you an idea, very plain, just a couple of identification marks that it's been turned. So that's the other piece. And then this is one of the pieces I did 8 or 10 of these a couple of years ago. And these are actually inserts for flowers. These are also basswood, but if you look at the emblems on the sides, they all are different.
Nice.
Okay.
That is some gorgeous work.
Thank you.
Nice.
Wow.
So then let me go to one piece that I just did before Christmas. This was a unique trial piece. If you look real close, It is the turn figures inside, the nativity set. The ball was hollowed out. This is basswood, and then embellished and chip carved. So the bottom and the top, and then that hangs on the Christmas tree.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
okay.
How
Those are
heavy is
beautiful,
that?
Norbert.
Thank
Did
you.
you,
That's
do,
awesome.
did
Those
you
are
do
very
all the
special.
carving after the hollowing?
Very impressive.
Thank you. The carving is done after. Yes.
Hey,
You
thank
hollow it out, you leave about maybe 3/16 quarter-inch thickness, and then you use a small, very power, like a small hand saber saw, and you just draw your design on and cut it out, and then smooth everything over. So those are those pieces. Then I have another embellished, what I call a, basket weave pattern type thing. That was a trial piece. I'm not happy with it because I got into, as we discussed, as you guys discussed earlier, the sap and the heartwood. And if you look real close, you got some darker areas around the rim. That happens to be the heartwood. The underside is the sapwood. So I didn't fall in love with this, but I finished it just out of desperation. So
All
It's a
I see is a
feature.
beautiful
That
piece.
looks
yeah.
good.
It's a
Last
feature.
piece.
Those are gorgeous.
Remember the piece up on the wall here
Yeah.
last time?
Beautiful. Just
Well, here is the mate that I did a couple of months after that was done. That was the first one. This was the next one in line. 16 inches, maple,
Oh, golly.
and
Wow.
so then if you look at the
Wow.
rim, it is alternate because you want to see that it's woven as such. And when you then turn it to the back, the red rim then becomes black.
Mhm.
Okay, see how that is? So
Wow.
that's the underside.
That's a
100
lot of
and,
detail.
190 lines, radial lines, and then burned, and then colored, and then sealed with, I think it was shellac, just to keep a coating on it, to keep the colors not from, keep them color fast.
Norbert,
Yes,
you do all of your lines by burning?
yes.
Man, I have a hard time making a straight line to get those
Me too.
crossings, and you just make one that's not straight, and it throws your whole piece off.
Yeah, and what I do
It's
is
really hard.
I have a jig that's
Yeah,
on the
very
lathe,
good.
and that I run the burning tip on.
Oh, okay.
So what I do is I lay it flat on the wood, and I turn to the line that I need to burn. And then I just go straight across. It goes from the radius, from the core. If you look at the core, it goes from there all the way out to the rim. And I
Wow,
do,
okay.
that might take me 4 hours. But
Oh,
the
wow.
point is, they're all straight and they all have the same intensity because I keep my tool, the burning tool, I keep it running at the same speed so that you don't get any hot spots or cool spots. And that's a real trick that you have to practice.
Yeah. Can you show that jig sometime?
Oh, wait. You heard, did you hear that? That was the applause from the crowd saying, it looks like a demonstration, Norbert.
Ah,
That's what I heard.
I
Don't
talked
scare
with-
'em away.
Yeah, no, you're not scaring me away. I've done a number of demonstrations, but here's the issue. I already spoke with Dane. I have a total knee coming up in 10 days. Post-operatively, it's going to be probably 3 to 6 weeks before I can do any major standing or be on my feet for 6 or so hours. What I want to do is be good enough to do the job right and be comfortable enough to show what I like to show to you guys. And that takes a little bit more time. So Dane and I talked, the demonstrations won't happen until after the end of August.
Yep.
Okay.
This fall.
So it's fair to you guys and it's going to be fair to me. So,
All right. Hey, we're not impatient. We're just anxious.
Exactly.
And here, by the
and
way,
Brenda.
here's my Christmas gift that I did for somebody in Florida. I just finished him He is an annual.
man.
Wow.
He's
Oh,
an
wow.
annual collector item.
Oh, that's cool.
Very nice.
She 21 years this woman has ordered Santas, and I could never finish it down here because we're in Florida. So I started always before we go down, and like this one was started in 21, and this is cypress.
Ooh.
This is cypress. Okay, so I
Very
carved
soft.
the shape that the cypress grows in, so it gives you some idea. You know,
A cypress knee?
it's a
It's a
cypress
knee
knee.
or- Oh, wow.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, they're not
That is
painted.
great.
They're all carved. So
that is great.
That's
Oh,
an old school
cool.
Santa too. I love that.
They're fun to carve. They're soft.
So
They're
if-
softer than basswood.
yes,
Thank
much
you.
so. And if your tools aren't sharp, you're not going to cut it. You're going to crush it.
Yeah, carry it like no other.
So that's my show for this evening, folks.
Well, thank
Right
you,
on.
sir.
Thank you,
Very
Norman.
nice.
Beautiful.
You're welcome.
Very, very much.
You are so welcome.
Very, very nice.
Well, Mick,
Nice.
you got a heck of a thing to follow up here now.
Yeah.
Who's up? I can't. Yeah, we're still on.
Looking for Mick Stratton. You still there, Mick?
Talk, Mick.
I am, yes.
Oh, I was gonna say you didn't want to follow Norbert. Okay.
No, nobody, no, not after that. That was excellent work.
Very excellent.
I've
There
just
he
got a
is.
small olive wood box. I don't know. This is the first time I've tried this design in Spanish olive wood on there.
Pretty piece.
Pretty.
That is
Nice.
pretty. Oh, that's nice.
Very nice.
Oh,
That
Great.
is pretty.
Very nice.
That is
Very
pretty.
nice.
Right on. What kind of wood is it, Mick?
I finished it with sanding sealer, and I used chestnut cut and polish on it, and then chestnut wood wax 22, and then a layer of Renaissance wax over the top.
Yeah, very nice.
That's
Yeah.
pretty.
Good
Real
looking
pretty.
piece of wood.
Yeah,
Nice
lovely
piece.
piece. Yeah, Spanish olive wood.
Oh, okay.
I see the legs of a horse in the lid of it.
Yeah. it's-
Okay.
Well, you see there, and it goes all the way through into the bottom of the box as well.
Oh,
see?
yeah.
Yeah,
That's neat.
that is cool.
That is really neat.
That's
Nice.
a nice feature.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was when I turned the bottom, you know, yeah, and it's still in the bottom, on the lid.
Right?
Yeah.
Looks more like a polar bear.
I was going to say, it looks
Yeah.
vertical, doesn't it? Like a polar bear.
That's it, and it's got quite a nice grain match, you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
sure is.
Yeah.
that's really nice.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Spot on.
And I've just
Great
got a
follow.
small,
Great follow.
and this one's just a small threaded boxwood, 16 TPI threaded box.
Nice.
That's nice.
On
Yeah.
there.
Very nice.
So
I sure would like to see a demonstration of somebody threading the damn box. That would be nice.
We've Paul Hannaby has done a
Paul Hannaby's
demonstration
the
on it.
man for thread chasing.
Both.
We've had a demonstration on threading. Go back into our recorded videos and you can see one that was done.
Yeah.
Sure
I
missed
think, yeah,
out on it.
there's two
Yeah,
videos. by
Paul did
Paul
that, what,
Hannaby.
about a year ago?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Probably.
Yeah, that's
Thank
all I've
goodness
got
we have
anyway,
the
thank
world's best webmaster, because he's got all that on the website. And if you're looking for it, that's where you'll find it. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that input tonight.
And he keeps
Jane, do we have
reminding us
one
to-
more?
Yeah, we do. Let's see. I'm looking for, gosh, this guy right here. Hey, Bob.
Hey, how are you doing, guys?
Hey, Bob.
Doing good.
Hey,
Hey,
Bob.
I turned a little platter here. Let's see if I can get it out here.
Right there, Bob.
It's a plywood platter. It was 16 inches in the diameter to begin with, and I tried to turn it with a bowl gouge, and well, that didn't work too well. Anyway, it's a 12-inch platter, and I had to go to a scraper, but the scraper worked fine.
Nice embellishment.
Yeah, and then I used that Joe, whatever it is, Sanja paint.
Lasagna, yeah.
Yeah.
And man, that is great stuff. I like the way it turned out. It's
That is
lots,
gorgeous.
lots of color.
That's really
Yeah.
pretty.
Beautiful.
That's beautiful.
That's
Well,
awesome.
depends- Well, thanks. Depends on which way the light hits it, or maybe it's the light. I don't know, but that purple you see in there sometimes just looks flat, dark blue, like a navy blue. But here it's turning out real purple, like it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be violet, turquoise, and gold. But
Oh,
That's
you can see
great.
the violet in it. It looks nice.
but thanks.
Good job. What was
And
your
then
finish?
the other thing I did here, I've been busy here. Not like the other guy. I mean, he's got some nice turning stuff, but I don't know if I can show you this or not. But here's my new display stand here.
Beautiful.
Yeah, wrought iron and red oak. But get the bottom.
That's
up.
not good. That's more flat areas to put work.
That's it. I had to move out of the kitchen. My wife I was covering up everything. She wanted me out of there. So.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, but that's it. That's all I got, you.
Right on, Bob. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right.
Thanks.
Well, out of consistency's purposes, let's go to another Bob. Birdhouse Bob, to be specific.
All right.
Hello,
Hey,
Bob.
how's everybody doing?
How you doing?
Evening,
All
Bob.
right, how you doing? I got a little bird bath I made here. I also used the Josiah, I textured it and then used the Josiah paints on it.
Excellent.
Nice.
That is nice.
And I got my birdhouse, of course.
Uh-huh.
Of course.
Nice.
That's pretty.
Did you use the same Josiah paint?
I
Spectrify.
used dye on the finial and the perch on this one.
Yeah.
But I used the Josiah paint on this one, on the bowl. And I
Yeah.
thought I
Pretty.
textured it first. I thought it turned out nice.
Yeah, it did.
Yes, nice job.
The
Nice.
color turns out.
Bob, you're the expert on birdhouses. I got a quick question. I noticed you had your perch right in the center of the hole. I've seen people put the perch on the left and the right. Is that for left-handed birds or right-handed birds or ambidextrous birds? Or
This is for amphibious birds.
okay,
That's for amphibious birds. They can do either way.
okay. That's what I was
Dexterous
wondering.
and
I was trying to
amphibious.
figure that out. I think people put it on one side or the other where you can see the bird and not cover up the hole or
Yes.
something.
Sometimes I'll put it on the side of it. Yeah, so you
Okay.
can do it either way you want to.
Putting it on the side's easier to line up.
You put it on the side that the mama bird can look inside and see what the kids are doing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There you go.
And I've got this platter that I did out of Bubinga.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Oh, wait.
Nice.
Big piece of
That's a
Bubinga.
lot of babingo there.
Yeah,
Wow.
very nice.
That piece of wood was an investment.
Yeah.
yeah,
man.
I imagine.
And that's all I've got.
Thank
All
you, Bob.
right.
Beautiful work, sir.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
We call him Birdhouse Bob because he turns out some gorgeous birdhouse art. It doesn't have to be huge. It's just got to be art. And he does just that. Thank you, Bob, again.
It's
right.
sort of fun to take something and try a bunch of different approaches to it too.
Oh, yeah. And he has done that, folks. And he's done it here. His demonstrations are on our website if you'd like to see some of his stuff. And the gallery on our website shows you almost all these items that are turned. And it's wide open. You do not have to be a member to post on our website. You do not have to be a member to do a demonstration, ask a question, participate, be a friend, or anything else. It's all free. And if you want to be part of it, join right in. It's about 1 minute before 7 o'clock. In just a few moments, we're going to join Paul Hannaby in the United Kingdom. And Paul is going to do a demonstration for us. Dane, is our demonstrator ready? Because we'll get out of this and go to demonstrator.
Yeah, I believe Paul's ready. Let's spin over there and see what's happening on that side of the pond. Paul?
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
All right.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to roll.
Thank you,
We
Bob.
got you.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to do another box tonight, but this one's a push fit rather than a threaded one. So slightly easier in that respect, but no easier in terms of trying to get a good fit between the two. So I've got a small piece of wood here. Let me just move over to the lathe. Right, so I've got this piece of wood here, which is 3 by 3 by about 4 inches, and that's Rapala lace wood. Nice bit of wood, smallest piece, but a good size for a box. So I'm going to mark the center of that, and the quick way of doing that is just use a pencil, sort of lock your fingers together, draw a line on each side. Same the other side. That side's got some wax on it, so I'm just going to more or less engrave into the wax with the pencil. And then let me find my, I've got here an automatic center punch. So if I find the center of those lines I've just scribed and push with that, it just leaves a little indentation in the middle. Same the other side, put an indentation in there. So that just helps with mounting it on the centers. So I've got you can just about see on the left there the tip of the live center, sorry, the drive center, and live center on the other end. So I'll mount my piece of wood between centers here. We just reposition that camera slightly. That'll do for the moment. We'll see how we get on with that. Right, so that's mounted between centers. Just tightening up the tailstock, locking that in position. Bring the rest in. I think, judging by all the boxes that people were showing tonight, most of the people in the group tonight could probably do this demo instead of me, but we'll go with it anyway. So set the rest up, and then I just need to rough that down to a cylinder. So I'm just going to take the corners off it basically and make it round.
Paul, can you move out just a tiny bit, because it's a little bit close, but maybe everybody else likes it. I don't know.
Just give me a sec. Is that better?
Perfect.
Okay. So I'll just use the spindle roughing gauge initially, just to take that down to a cylinder. Another couple of cuts there, that's probably it. Okay, that's good. I need to sort out a chuck to mount that in. It's about a 2-inch wide blank, so I think this set of jaws here, which are 1.5 inch O'Donnell jaws, which should be a good sort of size for this. So I'll get a set of calipers, size them to the end of that with the jaws open by about just under well, about 3/16 of an inch, 5 or 6 millimeters. Should be about right. And then just using the parting tool, I'll go straight in on each end to produce a spigot. These jaws are quite short, so my spigot can't be any longer than the jaws are, and the jaws are, well, in metric it's about 4.5 millimeters deep, something like that. So my ideal spigot size is about 4 millimeters. I'll do the same the other end. I'm just going to square that end off, and then I'll cut hopefully about a 4 millimeter spigot. That's it. This end might be just slightly short of the length I want, so just elongate it slightly. Now is probably a good time just to bring my jaws up, just to check that. It's a bit awkward with that on the lathe, so it might actually be easier just to measure it with a ruler or some other means. So I can put my ruler on there, and that looks to be about 4 millimeters. So yeah, I'm about right there. So far I've got 2 straight spigots. I want a dovetail on those to match the jaws. So I'm using a spindle gauge here, 3/8 spindle gauge. That's a deep fluted gauge, but it is a spindle gauge. So I'm going to pick a sort of a more standard gauge to get closer in. So I'm just going to dovetail those 2 spigots that I've created just using the tip of the gauge. That's it. So that's all I need to do between centres. I've got my piece of wood turned to a cylinder and decided on my set of jaws for the chuck. And what we need to do now is to switch that to actually mount it in the chuck. So I can take this out from between centres now. Move my tailstock away. Take my centre out and mount the chuck. Good tip here, before you put your chuck on, just clean that back face with make sure there's no bits of sort of wood shavings caught on there or anything like that. And likewise the register on the end of the spindle that's going to match with that, make sure that's also clean. So that's the chuck fitted. We can put our piece of wood in the chuck. This is pretty uniform both ends, so I don't think it matters too much which becomes the top, which becomes the bottom. So let's put one end in anyway, and that I don't know how well you can see that on the chuck. I'm just going to move the camera slightly. So if I put that next to the chuck on the jaws on the outside, you can see the length of that spigot is just shorter than the depth of the jaws. So that's exactly where I want it. If you've got the spigot shorter than the jaw depth, then when you've got this mounted in the chuck, the chuck's jaws are actually running on that flat surface outside the spigot rather than the bottom of the spigot running in the bottom of the jaw. So it's given me the widest contact area between the chuck and the piece of wood, and a wider contact area in theory is going to give me better support and more stability. So that's why it's important to try and mount it in that way. I'm just going to move that camera back over the top of this. Okay, so to divide this up, you probably want a sort of roughly either a 2/3, 1/3 split or 3/5, 2/5, which is close to that golden mean if you want to go that way. Another tip, if you want to do the golden mean the quick way, get one of these. It's a golden mean ruler. So if I put that on the piece of wood, you can just convert from one to the other. One size it says increase and the other size says decrease. So you can use that either way to try and sort of work it out. So if I go from the top side on that, it's virtually 3.5 inches. So if I want to decrease by the golden ratio, which is 5, then if I just use the bottom scale and read off 3.5, that's my dividing it by that amount. So there is my 3/5, 2/5 split pretty much at that point. And I didn't have to do any maths, I just used the ruler. That makes sense?
I like it.
Great.
Perfect.
So
Yep.
just to recap on that, read it off the top scale, which is inches. So that's 3.5 inches, all but a 16th, I think. So near enough. And then likewise, just transfer that to the bottom scale. So I'm reading 3.5 off the bottom scale, and that's where I've drawn my line. So it does that golden ratio division for you. The other size does it the other way. It says increase by 5. So you read it off the top scale and enlarge by that amount rather than reduce.
Never even knew they had a ruler that would do that.
Yeah, I think if you Google them, look online, you'll find them.
We have that link coming up on the chat, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have calipers.
I think
too.
you get them on Amazon and places like that. You'll notice I'm using a white pencil as well. On the darker woods, the white pencil show it really well. This one you could probably use a normal graphite pencil, but yeah, it's quite handy to have the light color. Right, so I can part off at that point, and then I've got a base and a lid. I'm using a narrow parting tool. This is a 1/16 of an inch parting tool. The reason I'm using that, the minimum amount of wood I lose between the two means I've got a better chance of grain match on the two. I think with this it's fairly uniform and fairly straight, so it shouldn't be too bad, but you get some pieces of wood with wilder grain where it's the more wood you lose between the two halves, the less chance you've got of matching the grain. So hopefully this one shouldn't be too much of a challenge in that respect. So I'll cut sort of pretty close to that line. And when I've got in a reasonable depth of sort of about 1 inch in there, I would say, I'm just taking another cut that's sort of half the width of the tool, just to widen that slot so the tool isn't going to bind. And then I can alternate between those two cuts just to keep the slot wide all the way in. So I've taken that down to, let's say, about 1/8 of an inch. I don't need to part right through. It's gone close enough that I can just twist that off and break it. It doesn't matter that I've damaged the grain in the middle, because I'm going to hollow some of that out anyway. So that's not a problem. So now a choice of, do I turn the bottom first or the lid? I tend to turn the lid first and then finish it on the base. So we'll do that. We'll put the lid on in the chuck, tighten that up, and we'll switch to working on the end here. So I'm not too worried about the outside of the lid. I'm worried about the inside. So that bit of damage in the middle, you'll see that won't be part of the box at all. So that's not going to cause me any problems. So initially I'm just going to cut across here just to clean up the face of that, where I've done that parting cut. So I'm just going to cut straight across with the gouge. So that's giving me a clean edge. The rest I'm going to hollow out anyway to a certain extent, so that doesn't matter too much. I'm just going to remove my tailstock. I'm on a short bed lathe here, so I'm removing the tailstock to make it easier for me to work on the end of here from the end of the lathe. So I can start to shape and hollow at this end now. I could do some of that with the gouge. You can use the gouge to push in at the center, push in right on the middle and pull it sideways and do a hollow and cut with it. So that's one way of taking out some of that excess wood. The shape of this box, I'm just going to go for a fairly simple cylindrical box. So nothing too fancy with the shape, but I think the wood sort of almost speaks for itself. It's quite an interesting grain pattern on the wood, so I don't want to do anything too elaborate with the box itself that's going to compete with that. So I'm quite happy just to keep the shape of the box very simple. And depth wise, it's a good idea to get a depth gauge like this one. They're fairly cheap, and I can set that to the outside, so I know that's how much I got on the outside. It's in millimeters, it's reading 30 there. So if I leave inch and an eighth there, so if I allow 5-6 millimeters, quarter of an inch on the thickness of the lid, about that much, then that's a adequate thickness for the lid of the box. We'll just allow an extra tiny bit. So that's the amount of wood I want to leave for the lid. So I can put that in the hollowed part and gauge the depth I've hollowed to. So a little bit more to take off in the middle. And I can just bring my depth gauge up again. Still a little bit more to go. I'm not worrying too much about the width of this hole yet. Just concentrating on one feature at a time, really. A little bit more. Another cut. That's pretty much it. Maybe two. So that's the depth sorted out. Just want to bring my light in a bit better. That's it. So in fact, I'll try and get that light under. I'm just trying to juggle angle pulls, lights, and cameras here to get everything where I want it. That's a bit better. Okay, so I can now sort of concentrate on the width of that hollow. I could continue to hollow it out with the gouge. So going from the center and curving that out like this. If I want that to be more of a cylindrical straight hole, I can use a square end scraper like this. This is my sort of homemade box scraper. I think you might have seen it on one of my previous demos. It's ground on the tip and it's ground on that left hand edge, so I can cut forwards and to the left with it. So I can go to the center of the box and flatten it off with the tip. And I can also come down the side of the box cutting forwards or sideways with it. So it's quite a versatile tool when you're making boxes. So I'll worry about finishing the bottom in a second. What I want to do now is take this tool down the side of the box, or down the side of the lid, to get a straight cut. And by straight I mean a parallel sort of edge to it. So that can become my point of attachment to the base. I'm going to put a spigot on the bottom half and a sort of a hole on the lid. Thickness wise, I'll leave it at that point. That's about 5 millimeters, 3/16 thick, roughly. Depth wise, with my depth stop, I'm pretty much where I need to be depth wise with this, so I can put that down for a moment. I've got my width there. If I want to be doubly sure I've made that parallel sided. I can use a set of internal calipers here, set them to the edge of that hole and gauge it on the outer end and then run it down, and to me that feels like there's a slight taper on it, so I can correct that at this point. Just recheck. The reason I'm being sort of fussy about getting that straight is if this is going to be my sort of fit to the spigot, if that's a parallel sided recess, then it should make the fit easier. I think that's still got a slight taper on it. Right, I think that's straight. So happy with it this time. Put those over there. Away. Right, so that's the side of that sized correctly. I've still got a little bit of sorting out to do at the bottom of this hole. Another good tool for box making, if you've got a square bottom box, I could use this one. It's round on the end and again round on the side. This is a wider, flatter tool, so I could flatten the base and I could also bring it at the side and tidy up the edge. And it's got a slight radius on that left hand corner, not a big one, but just enough to give me just a little radius on that internal corner there. So specifically made for box making, not my design, I hasten to add. I got the idea of this from a Chris Stott video I watched some time ago. So I can start to take away that small amount of excess wood I've left at the bottom there. I don't want to disturb the side too much because I've already decided that's cut straight. But I can bring this across the bottom of the box. I think this just wants sharpening on the tip. I'm just going to raise that rest slightly as well. With a lot of my scrapers, I sharpen them by hand. So sort of credit card size hone like that one. And just hone the edge of the tool. So just put a fresh burr on the end. So I'm just running that across on the centre line with the handle slightly above the tip, so it's angled downwards. So a slight trailing cut, which is sort of the convention for a scraper, and I'm just trying to clean up that sort of end grain face there. This edge, as I said, is pretty much where it wants to be, so I'm just using a light cut again with the tool angled slightly into it just to clean up that edge, and then it's leaving a slight radius right in the corner. So that's reasonably clean across the bottom. I think I'm just going to hone this tool once more and just do it again. There's a couple of little bits where I think it just needs cleaning up better. That's better. Okay, I think that'll do it. And then I can sand the inside of that. That's as much as I need to do on the turning side here. I'm just gonna get any shavings and dust out of there before I start. Just bringing my dust extractor hood in. So sand the inside of that. I could probably start that off on about a 240 grit. Whatever grit you start with, you want to be able to remove any tool marks and any other sort of torn grain blemishes, anything else. If it doesn't work on that grit, then go coarser, and I'm just going to drop the speed down a bit as well, so I don't generate too much heat at the sanding stage. I'll sand the inside of the lid as well, because it's really my only opportunity to do that.
Hey, Paul, may I ask
And
you
I
a
can see a little
question?
bit of a line on that, on the side rather than on the base, so I'm just going to try and clean that up with that scraper. And I've got a 2-inch wide abrasive here, and I'm folding that in half to give me effectively an inch wide to do the sanding. Sand across the bottom, sand the side. Still seems to be a line there. It seemed to disappear when I put the scraper in there, but it's reappeared. So I'll stop and have a look at what's there. That's not my imagination, there is actually a line there. So just back in there with the scraper again, I'll just clean that line up. Right, hopefully I got it this time. I always try when I'm sanding to reduce whatever speed I was turning at, sort of knock about a third of the speed off so I don't overheat the wood. And then I'm going to sand across that face as well. Use my brush to blow the dust out of that. The reason I use a brush is I'm wearing a visor, so if I try and blow with a visor on it, it's not going to do a lot, is it? So that's the inside sanded at 240. I can find my internal calipers here and just double check width wise that that's relatively straight. Just watch when you're sanding that you're not overly rounding over that outside edge, because that's going to affect the fit of the base. So I'm trying to keep most of the pressure into the edge rather than right on the outside of it, sort of farther in to that side rather than on the edge of it, is what I was trying to say. Okay, so that's the outside, or the lid finished as far as it's going at the moment. Turn off the extractor. Oh, sorry, yeah, I need to sand that a bit finer, don't I? I'm going to just sand that with 320, and that should do it on the inside.
Looking good, Paul.
Okay, so that's the inside done. And we'll swap the lid for the base. Do that up tight. So the first thing I want to do while that's still solid is to fit the lid to the base. So I'll size my spigot basically and get that fit. And I want it hopefully to be tight enough that I can put the lid on the base and finish the outside of the lid. So that's next step. I mean, what you can sort of do a bit of guesswork, or you can use a set of calipers here, eyeball the internal diameter there, and if I allow just a little bit, I'm aiming just slightly oversized there, so at least I know when I hit that point I've got a little bit more to go, and then I can start on the outer edge here with my parting tool, which to be honest doesn't seem as sharp as it should be, so I'm just going to resharpen that. Give me 2 seconds. It was cutting, but not as well as I feel it should. And I mean, something like a box where you're trying to make fairly fine cuts to get a good fit, I think at that point you want a sharp tool that's going to allow you to take very light cuts. I want a longer spigot than that, so let's say about that much. So there's my sort of rough size spigot. That should be oversized, which it is. So at this point I can hopefully creep up on the size I want. I mean, another way to do it is to use verniers or digital calipers or something like that, so I can size the outside and the inside and see what the difference in the measurements are. I tend not to do that. That's telling me the inside's 59 and a bit in millimeters here, we're talking. The inside 62, so it's 2 millimeters over, I would say. So if I'm using that, I can use it to estimate how much to take off and then measure it again. I don't normally do it that way. I'll get moderately close and put a taper on the end there, and then this might work better from the overhead. I've just put a taper on the end of that spigot so I can bring my lid up, push it on that taper, and it should leave a bit of a burnish mark where it's pressing on that taper. So then I can hopefully take this down to the diameter of that burnish mark. This is one of those woods where the burnish mark's very difficult to see. I'm not seeing a lot, so even that's not. I don't want to press it so hard that I burn the wood, so I'm sort of erring on the side of caution here. Yeah, I can sort of see it now. Some woods burnish better than others, I guess. But I'm, even with that burnish mark, I'm still sort of creeping up on it a bit. Taking pretty small cuts. And it's almost there. Bit more to go. And I'm trying to cut a straight parallel cylinder on this side, so we should end up with two sort of mating straight-sided cylinders that are going to hopefully slide over each other. That's just on the verge of fitting on there, so shouldn't need to take a lot more off. I want it snug, but not so tight I'm not going to get it back off again. And that's slightly too snug. But yeah, I'm virtually there. So at this point, very light cuts. Try it again. I think that's almost it. I think I've left the bottom end perhaps slightly thicker, so I'll just take a tiny bit off the bottom. I'm going to try and line up where I think the grain's supposed to line up. That's probably about there. And I'm thinking that's... I could force that on, but I think it's going to be very tight to actually get off if I do. So I just want to ease it. Like I said, I want to hold it to be able to turn, but I don't want it to be so tight I can't get it off again.
Oh, so close. Been there.
Yeah, this is always the point where you just take that last cut as a whisker too thick, and all of a sudden it's a loose fitting lid. I think that's just enough to hold it on. That's tight, but I think I can prise that apart again. So good to go. If you think that's a little loose, you can always bring your tailstock in for a bit of extra support. That's an option there. I think that's pretty tight at the moment, so I'll see how I get on without a tailstock. Sorry?
You'll get by with that. That'll work.
Yeah, I think that's going to work, and I think where the grain is lined up, it's about right too. So I'm just going to do a sort of a planing cut down the side of that using 1/2 inch spindle gauge. As I said earlier, I'm just aiming for pretty much a cylindrical box, so I'm just going to speed that up again as well. It's the smallest piece. It's about 3 inches, so it's good to sort of up to about 2000 RPM. I'm not quite running it that fast, but I could do a couple of cuts just to get a finer cut there. Because what was there before was off the spindle roughing gauge, so this should give me a finer cut, finer surface. Let's just stop and have a look and see what we've got. Yeah, that's a smoother, finer sort of surface, and one that I think is okay for sanding from that point. So I'll work on the end there now. I can work that chuck spigot, get rid of that. This time my cut's pushing the lid sideways, so I want to avoid putting too much pressure on that might dislodge the lid. So I'll start off with a smallish cut. So I'm not putting too much sideways pressure on this that's going to lift the lid off if it was slightly loose. I think my fit's a reasonably tight one, so I don't think it's going to fall off. But just to be on the safe side, it's good practice not to push your luck and put too much pressure on it.
We lost your sound, Paul.
Can you hear me
We
now?
got sound. We can hear you now.
Great. Yeah, the batteries went in my microphone transmitter. So yeah, just put some new batteries in. Okay. Yes, I've cut that end square and cleaned it up. So and that's looking pretty flat and straight. This side, as I said, just leaving it cylindrical. So very simple shape. There's no sort of frivolous details here. So I'm going to sand and finish the outside of this at this point. I'll put my dust extraction back on. We'll start sanding on this outside at 180 grit. And again, remember to drop the speed down a little to reduce heat and friction. And sand across the top. Remember the top's end grain, so that might take a little bit more sand in there than the side of the box to get that cleaned up properly. That's looking good. Down through the grits. So yeah, 180 first, 240 now. Hopefully if the first grit does all the hard work by removing all the tool marks, torn grain, any other blemishes or bumps and ridges, etc. that you might have left there, then the other grits, all that's got to do is take out the scratches that the previous one left. So do all the hard work with the first grit, and if you can't get all the marks out with that, go coarser. There's no point going down to the next grit until that first one has done all the hard work. So sand down Side again, we're on 320 grit now. And on to 400. I'm sanding the outside just a little finer than I did the inside. You'll notice I didn't put any finish on the insides. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I don't think there's a right or wrong on that. Sometimes I might just put some wax on the inside with nothing else. Sometimes nothing at all, or sometimes maybe seal it first and then some wax, but it all depends really. So that's outside sanded to 400 grit. I want to remove the lid at this point, and that did manage to pull off okay. It's snug, but I can pull it away. So just about right on the fit there. What I want to do, you can see, well, I'm not sure whether you can or not, but you can see the line where the two join. You're never going to hide that. So the sort of one school of thought is don't try and hide it, because you're not going to. Make a feature of it. So one tip I learned from watching sort of videos on this subject from Reiki and other experts is you make a feature of that join. So I'm just picking up again a narrow parting tool. This is just a small 2mm parting tool, and all I want to do is make a very small cut right on the edge of that lip. Just go in literally 1 millimeter. Or 32nd of an inch if you're imperial. It's close enough. And then when I put my lid on, that line is there deliberately. It's not an accident. It's supposed to be there. You're not going to hide that line, so make a feature of it. Make it like it's deliberate, rather than something you're trying to hide and unable to do so. So I'm just going to sand that edge just to take off any burr that I might have left from that parting cut. That's the outside shaped at least and sanded. I can put some finish on this. Again, going back to the likes of Reiki and others of that era. One of the chosen finishes there was Melamine lacquer. You can use the liquid form and put it on with a bit of cloth. I'm just looking in my cupboard of bits of pieces, finishes. See if I can find. There it is. I've got an aerosol melamine here, so I might use that one instead. I do have some liquid as well, but you could use either. You put some of the liquid on with a cloth, or I've got here a spray melamine lacquer, so I'll choose that. I'm really using it almost as a sealer. So a little bit on the end of the lid and a little bit down the side of the box. 1 or 2 coats. I always say do 2 or 3 light coats rather than one really heavy one, because it'll dry faster that way. This stuff dries really quick. That'll do with that. I'll give it a minute to dry. That's probably all it's going to take. That feels touch dry already. I'll cut that back with some 4/0 grade wire wool. You could use a sort of a nylon equivalent if you prefer. This is 4/0 grade. Just cut it back with that. Same on the end. Stop the lathe there. And then I can wax the outside. I'm using Renaissance wax here. I tend to use that for most things. That's the sort of my wax of choice, has been for a long time. I prefer that to the beeswax base waxes, because it doesn't mark when you handle it. So it gives you a more durable finish. And a long time ago, I found out when I started doing bigger shows and exhibitions, and things were getting handled by more people during the day, it was all going dull at the end of the day with the beeswax based polishes. So I'll use this one now, and you can handle it as much as you like, and keeps its shine. So just buff that with a bit of safety cloth. I mean, you call it cloth, but this is just paper tape, so it just tears. Hence the name safety cloth. The theory is if that gets caught, it'll just tear rather than pulling you in with it. So buff that to a shine. So I'm sort of done on, well, at least 2/3 of the outside now. The lid is now finished. So I'll pull the lid off. That inside edge, I could wax that if I want, just put a little bit of, there's still a bit of wax left on my pad here. So I could put a bit of wax just on the edge of that and buff that. I'm not going to wax the inside. Like I said, you can if you want. With this box, I don't think I'm going to bother, but yeah, you can if you want. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So lid done. Finish off the bottom. So what I need to do now is to hollow this. So gouge across the end. I'm not going to mess with that fit at the moment. Sometimes you find by the time you've hollowed the middle of that piece of wood out, the wood sort of relaxed a bit and the fit's changed. So do the hollowing out bit first and then go to the final fit of the lid. That lid currently to me is too tight. It's a wood turner's fit, where the lid sort of pops off. I prefer a slightly looser fit. So I would sort of make it a looser fit at that final stage. Switch to that side camera. So I'm just setting my tool rest height, so I'm cutting pretty much on center. And what I can do here is push the gouge tip straight in. I've just got a standard fingernail grind spindle gouge here. I can push that tip straight in and sort of drill a hole if I want to keep pushing it in. Or I can go back to that hollowing cut I was doing earlier, push it in a little, pull it sideways. That works too. Or go back to my box scraper, the square end box scraper, and just sort of use that as a drill. That works reasonably well too. So any of those methods work. You could even take some of it out with a drill. Well, I can push forwards or sideways with this, and because I got it sharpened on the end on the side, so it will cut in both directions. So before I go any deeper, I'm going to again get my depth gauge, set my depth gauge so the bottom again is about 1/4 of an inch thick, and then lock that and see where I'm at. I've got 1/4 of an inch to go. So a little bit more to do. I'll switch the camera to that one. So I can use my gauge to check. 1/8 of an inch to go. I've deliberately left the wall of the box thicker than I'm going to at this stage. Again, I'm working on depth first, and then I'll work on the width. So depth wise I'm there now, so I can thin this down a little. Just cut this tool pretty much straight down the side of the box. And same again. And one more just to thin that wall down a little more. That's just another light cut. So that's it. In terms of hollow in it, just have a quick look in there. Yeah, that's looking okay. I can go back to my sort of box scraper, this wider one with the radius corner, and clean up across the bottom and up the side with this one. Oh. I think I went below centre there, and that's why it caught. So I'll pull that from centre to edge, and then up the side to clean the side as well. So because that's got a very long cutting edge on the side, that sort of straightens up the edge as well. So my initial hollowing doesn't need to be sort of too precise, because this will, the edge of this tool it's literally ground 3/4 of the way up the shaft of the tool, so that's far longer than the side of the box, so it will clean up the box all the way up the side. And I'm just going across the bottom and into the corner and at the side to leave that slight radius in the corner. Use my brush again. Push all the dust and stuff out so I can see what's going on in there. So the bottom's looking flat, no little bumps in the middle or anything like that. So that's cut the way I want it in the middle. I can dispense with my depth gauge. So I was sanding the inside of that now. Again, I'll probably start off on a 240 grit on the inside again. The right one. And then I can bend that over the end and sand across the bottom. Whenever you are sanding on the inside of anything, don't wrap the abrasive around your finger, so if you're going to get into trouble if it gets caught. I'm just literally folding that across my finger like that, and that's enough to get it across the bottom. I think the edge of that actually needs to be sanded coarser, so I'm going to go down one. I'll go down to 180 here. And again, folding it in half, so I've got my, it's using a 2-inch abrasive, but folding it in half to make it 1 inch wide, and then bending the end over so I can sand across the bottom with that. Up to the side, and then back to the 240. Just get the dust out there and just have a look before I go back to the 240. Yeah, that's looking better. On the edge, I can actually use that at the full width, but for the bottom I would fold it in half. Sand across the bottom. One thing I've noticed here, where I did the parting cut to size the spigot for the lid, I've effectively got the edge of that parting cut here, and it's slightly rougher than I would like, so I'm going to fix that in a second. I'll just sand the inside first. It's a fiddly one to try and sand without disturbing the spigot. I mean, I could probably do it, and if I sanded a little bit off the spigot, it probably wouldn't matter because it's probably going to want the fit easing slightly anyway. Right, so that's sanded the inside to 320, so I'm happy with that. We'll leave it at that. Yeah, to resize or to fix that, the edge of that parting cut, probably something I should have done earlier. I'm just going to bring my rest in here across the edge, and I'm going to use a 3-point tool. And that one I can use it like a skew, like a scraper, like many things, and I can put one edge straight across the edge of that parting cut and just clean it up and just take a very small amount off and refine that surface. Okay, so I've just taken a little bit off there, clean that face up, move my rest out of the way, and that edge I've just cut, I can go in with the 320 grit, sand that. The spigot there, I'm not going to sand it just yet, but at this point I can check the fit. So let's find where the lid lines up about there. That's not too bad. It's looser than it was when I was turning the lid, but that's still tight enough for me to stick on there and probably turn that lid again if I needed to. So that, for me, that's slightly too tight. So I've got 320 grit in my hand. So the first thing I'm going to do is just sand that spigot at 320 grit. So I'm not taking much off it at all. Brush the dust off and then see how that fits. That will have loosened it just a little. That's a better fit, but I think just a fraction tight maybe. So just another quick brush with the 320. That's it. It holds, but it doesn't take the strength of the strongman to pull that off. It's very little force needed to get it off, but that I can lift the bottom up with the lid, so that's sort of where I want it. So that fits where I'm happy. So that's the inside and all that done. What I've got to do now is deal with that bottom. So I need to have some way of mounting this. I'm not going to put that in the jaws. I could probably get away with it, but that's going to leave a mark on the inside. So what I want now is a jam chuck of some description. Find me a piece of scrap wood. I usually save a few bits that are the ends of bits I've parted off. So just grab one of those. So this is just a bit. I've used this once for something already by the looks of it, but I'll just change trucks because it's got a bigger spigot on the end of it.
Hey, Paul.
Yes.
What size O'Donnell jaws are those that you had on there?
They were 1.5 inches.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I've got sort of 3 sets. I think they're 1.5 inches, 2 inch. Right, so I've got my piece of wood in the chuck there, and I just want to make a spigot that will go inside the box rather than a recess that's going to use that spigot that I've created for the box. It's either way would work, to be honest. But
Paul, may I interject here? Folks, if you're looking at what he's got chucked up in that piece of wood into that chuck, he doesn't have it the way you would put it if you were going to turn that as a finished piece. He's touching on the bottom of the jaws and not on the top shoulders of the jaws. Now, this is perfectly fine for a jam chuck, but don't be misled by this. Go back to what Paul said in the beginning.
yeah, that spigot is quite long because I used it. It was originally turned for a deeper set of jaws, so I'm not worrying about that too much now because I've got literally no overhang, no great side forces on this, and the fact that I'm not working on sort of supporting the widest part of this doesn't matter too much. As Eddie said, it's just being used as a jam chuck. So I'm using a bit of creative license here. Let's just have a look at that. I think that's probably too small. Yeah, a little bit bigger than that. But probably not that big. Not smaller than that. Again, if I get rid of a bit of that, if I put a taper on the end here, again I can bring my piece of wood up and use that taper as a witness mark to size the spigot. I'm not down to that size yet, so flatten it off, put another taper on the tip, come back in, have another go, and so on. And after a few of those, we'll get to the point where we are creating a mark, and I'm almost on it there. Taper again. So that's now going on the taper. Just see where we are with that. Yeah, still too tight. That's just about going on. Take a little bit more off.
Oh, that's 3 points in horseshoes.
What I
Paul.
want is to get this right up to that face. Yeah, it's nearly there. It's just a little bit too tight. Right, that's just about right. This tight enough, hopefully. So tool rest across the end. And again, if you're unsure of that fit, I'm pushing that side to side and it's not going anywhere, so I think I'm okay. If you think that's a little bit loose, if you do cut it a bit loose, one tip, you could put a piece of kitchen towel across the spigot and then push your piece on, and that'll take up some of the slack. Or, as I said earlier, bring the tailstock in and use that center to give you a bit of support. So I'll start off, take some smallish cuts. This is what's going to loosen it, if anything, because I'm pushing sideways across the piece rather than pushing it into the jam chuck. So I'm trying to keep the cuts relatively light. So I think that's got rid of the jam chuck, sorry, the spigot. I'm just bringing my rest in just a little more and cleaning up across the whole foot now. And the bottom here I want ever so slightly convex, sorry, concave. So it's going to sit flat. So let's just check that. That is just got the slightest sort of curve to it. So that's cleaned the base up, or at least as far as I need to go with the gouge. So I can sand and finish the bottom of that. So again, back to probably 180 grit there.
May I ask you another question?
Look at that, reasonably good. So on to 240 grit. $320. And 400. And what I'm also going to do here is just turn that off. Turn them off my dust extractor for a second. I'm going to go back to my 3-point tool and just use it to scribe a couple of decorative lines on the bottom. A couple there like that, and then go near the center and do a couple in the middle like that, just to show you finish the bottom. I'll do that after sanding, and all I'm going to do is pick up the 400 grit and just quick brush over it like that, just to take off any little burrs you might have raised. Brush that clean. Yeah, that feels smooth now. Again, back to the melamine. Now if I aim this at the outer sort of half of it, I shouldn't get too much overspray. That'll do. Give that a second to dry. And then 4 zeros where I will again. A little bit of wax on the bottom. Now, you might fill those scribed lines up with wax, so it's a good idea to get a brush on that. So somewhere here, there it is. I've got one of these, just a shoe brush, so I can brush that. Brush any wax out of those grooves with that shoe brush. That also gives it a bit of a buff. But I can finish it off with my polishing cloth as well. And then prise that off the jam chuck. That was a good fit. And then line up the grain, and which I think is there. But let me just point the camera down. There's the box. If I grab the lid, it's holding the base up, but very little pressure to actually separate the two. I can just sort of hold it fingertips there, and that will pick up the bottom. If I shake it, it'll fall apart. So it's just holding, but not that strong a grip. So if you fill that bottom half up, it'll probably stay put when you lift the lid up. That's roughly where I want it. I don't like these really tight fits on box lids. That might change over the next day or two. The wood sort of tends to relax a bit, and I'm doing this on my workshop, and if I take that into my home, then it's maybe slightly less humid inside, so that's going to move slightly. Hopefully it will all move together and the fit will remain roughly the same. But you can see there the sort of the patterning on the outside of the box, which I quite like. That's
Pretty piece of wood, Paul.
Very nice. Very
wood.
That's very nice.
Nice, Paul.
What
Thank
was-
you.
What was the wood again?
Lacewood.
It's Rapala lacewood.
Oh yeah, lacewood or
And then
London.
you got the
Plane.
top
Yeah,
there,
London.
and,
Nice
and the
turning,
bottom
Paul.
with.
Thank you, Paul.
Oh, go
Okay.
back to show us the lid, Paul, on top, the very top, just right there. Now that angle it a little. There you go. Now that is a turner, folks.
Yes.
No marks, no grooves, no tears.
No tear out. Looks good.
Yep.
Yeah.
No bruising.
Very pretty.
That's impressive.
Very
Thank you
nice.
very much.
And
So-
that's
Yeah,
what
I
they
mean, I
call-
think with that, because the wood itself sort of has got quite
Yeah.
a good character. I've just done it really simple. I do boxes that are more decorative and more shape to them, but I find with the woods that have got more sort of going for them, I just try and keep it simple.
Right. Yeah,
I
let
was
the
right in the
speak-
first
let
place.
the
That
wood
is
speak
the
for it.
right alignment of the figuring on it.
Yeah,
And yeah, I
great.
mean, it does line up reasonably well. But as I said, this was a fairly straight sort of piece of wood in terms of the patterning on it. So although I've lost a little bit, both from the cut and from the length of that spigot, So I've lost effectively 1/4 of an inch between where they were to where they join now. But as I was working with a fairly straight grain piece of wood, the alignment still looks good. It still looks like it's where it's supposed to be. So that's worked out reasonably well with this.
Right, and there's only a few of us who would actually be able to identify that. It's not like somebody.
There's a label on the
2-foot
spindle of this, and it had a label on it, so I knew what it was.
Yeah, right. So Paul, I think there was a question by Norbert.
Very nice.
Okay, what was the question?
Yeah, it's a technical question. Of the 3 of the O'Donnell jaws you have for these kind of boxes, which of these O'Donnell jaws would you use most frequently? The size, the 1.5, the the 33 millimeter or the 50 millimeter?
For this box, which started off as a roughly 3x3 spindle, I've used the 1.5" jaws. That's probably the one I use most for boxes. I've got a set of the inch ones, I've got a set of the 2-inch ones, but for these, I normally go 1.5.
So this is 33 millimeters?
Yes, approximately. It's a little bit more. It's probably 35, 36.
Okay.
I'm just measuring it.
Because I'm getting
actually more than that. It's a bit more open than it should be, but it's probably 40.
I like the clearance you get from the shoulders, that when you're turning, you have lots of room with your tool.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you can see there the whole set of jaws, and they taper in. I've got a 4-inch chuck there, 1.5" jaws. Oh well, it is about 1.5", 40 millimeters.
And a good amount of solid
roughly, isn't
holding.
it? So it gives you good clearance at the edge here.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
That's one reason I like them. I'll show you the 2-inch version. That's that one.
Okay.
Again, a 4-inch chuck, but you've got that clearance on the side. And the inch ones are similar. You got, I like them because they give you good access.
Yeah.
Pretty much all the way into where the spigots are.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
That's it. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome demo, Paul. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Paul, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Right,
Yeah, it's been a long day today, so I was teaching all day. Then I went to my local club and we had a sort of hands-on evening, so I was doing a bit there and got back at 10 o'clock and then got time for a sandwich and a cup of coffee and then get set up for this. So it's been a long day today.
Right? Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, we
Thank
appreciate
you,
it,
Paul.
Paul.
Thanks.
Really appreciate
You're welcome.
it.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? No? All right. Paul,
if anyone thinks of anything farther down the line, you know where to find me. Feel free to ask, sort of send me an email, whatever. I'm happy with that.
Right on. Appreciate it, Paul.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, we're going to go back to gallery in just a few moments, folks. We had a couple of guys say they wanted to show something, but they had to leave. We can start gallery as early as 6:30 p.m. Central, or even earlier if you choose, if you're kind of on a time restraint. So all you have to do is tell us, our demos are important to us. These are volunteer demonstrators. Now, we don't pay for IRDs. We have a lot of IRDs on our calendar. I'll tell you about that in a moment. But we don't pay these folks. They're doing all this as a volunteer. Just like our website, newsletter, demonstration master, gallery guy. Everybody that works with this program does it because they love wood turning. That's all. Now, we're talking about the website a moment ago. If you're a member of a club, a wood turning club, besides Worldwide Wood Turners, and you'd like us to add your club to our list of clubs that we represent or we're party to or we're friends of, all you have to do is put it in our chat. Please add my club to the list. Put it right there in the chat. No other details. Our webmaster's the master, and he'll put it on our site. Now, we also collect items each week for our video gallery. I'm going to hit the or go to gallery this week. I've already put it on my website. I'll put it on the club website tonight. I'll add it to Facebook as soon as I can. Somehow I got a glitch. I'm going to go back to OBS to run this through. Okay, but we're still collecting gallery. Mail them to us at the club address that, get this, it's complicated, worldwidewoodturners@gmail.com. Did you get that? worldwidewoodturners@gmail.com. That's where you send the photographs. Now, if you have an item that you'd like to add to our events calendar, which this week, by majority vote, yeah, we asked 3 people and they said okay. We have expanded our events calendar to include anything involving wood turning. Did you catch that? Anything involving wood turning. If your club has a meeting that I can attend looking at it on Zoom, I want to be there. If your club has got a meeting, they record it and they put it on their website, let us know. If you are producing an IRD, be it a pay for or whatever, let us know. We want to gather all that information. We're talking to all the professionals right now, and we're asking them all, please add us to the mix when you advertise. And we don't charge anything for it. There's no charge, and there's no obligation, no commitment, no endorsement. We just want to spread the word about what is happening with wood turners. And 2 more items. Number 1 is we're still collecting Freedom pens. And in our gallery, which I'll show you, we have Freedom pens from Joe Klein. He did 100 pens for this thing. Joe did. Doug Miller turned a bunch of pens on it, and they're gorgeous. And Gerald Avery had a special project for a honor flight. I think it's called honor flight, where the veterans are going up to the wall. And Gerald's group gathered those pens. We're all gathering pens. Our First Sergeant Doug Rowe, and even though he's retiring, he'll still be our First Sergeant. He's collected those pens from the Army. We have contacts on our website for Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, and I think Space Force. We're covering the whole base. Everyone that serves to protect your freedom, no matter what country you're in, deserves to get a thank you from you. So do that. And this popped up this week, and I don't know what to call it. Dane, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. What do we call this thing that we collect in? Is it a glossary or what? What?
So Dave's already started a glossary of terms, woodworking terms, wood turning terms, and it's really good. I don't know if anybody has looked at it or not. I hadn't noticed it myself. I've been mentoring a new turner online, and he was asking me if we had, if there was such, something that would be really great for a wood turner, is to be able to go to a resource and be able to look up, a badon. What is a badon, and what does it look like, and where is it used? What is pith? Do you leave it in? Do you take it out? How do you manipulate working with wood that has the pith in it? So on like that. So Dave, our webmaster, he's got a glossary of wood turning terms, A through Z, and it's pretty inclusive. However, we really need to add to it and fill it up with more glossary of terms that that is common within wood turning that we experience. And so what I would like to offer is a challenge for everybody. Go to the website, look at you pick a letter, and then pick an item. What is it? Give a definition and give a couple examples of where it's used or how it's used or how it's done, and send that in to Dave so the website, so the glossary can be updated. And I'd love to have, mass participation on this. And it doesn't matter if 3 people in the group pick A, it just means there's going to be 3 additional items added to A, so on and so on. But, this new kid that I've been working with, once I pointed him in the direction, sent him the link, and he looked it up, and he was like, oh my God, I can't believe all the information here. He answered, he had about 20 different questions, and they were all answered right there on the glossary. amongst other questions that had been answered just by him going to the web page. So again,
And don't sell the short. This is just an addition to the world's finest wood turning website.
Absolutely. I was amazed. I'd forgotten all about it. I think I'd looked at it maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, but I'd forgot about it. And I sent a message out to Dave and Eddie, hey, is a glossary something, or actually as a group of turners, I sent a message out to, is a glossary, something we can do? And, Dave popped a message back, was like, hey, we already got one, but it's not inclusive. Take a look and let's add to it, so if we can get some more participation from the group, again, all you gotta do is pick a letter, pick an item, give a definition and when and where it's used, a couple examples, and that would be really great on helping us fill out this glossary, which is going to be an expanded resource for not only ourselves, but especially for new turners, novice turners. It's amazing for them to be able to go to a resource and see something that's already answered, and that saves them from, the feeling stupid, or whatever that feeling is, of asking that dumb question, even though it's not a dumb question. You don't know, you ask. You don't know what you don't know. And of course, how we all feel about asking questions. We're here for it. Ask the question, we're going to give you the answer. There's nothing wrong with it. But just having that available resource on the website saves a lot of time. And if it's not there, then the individual can query one of us and go from there. So, but pick a letter and let's do something, folks. I'd love to see us glossary start building here in the next week or two.
Now
I'm so impressed with the whole thing with the worldwide wood turners that, every single week there's 80 to 100 people that are on.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Consistent.
Yeah, consistently. It's amazing.
I've been keeping track of it during the demos. Once we start the demos, we consistently have 90 people to 95 people consistently during the whole demo. And of course, when the demo stops, it drops off to about 80. But still, that is a heck of an audience that we've got. And all we want to do is, try and grow and get better and, just get that, pass that knowledge out there. So.
Well, Dane, it hadn't been that many years. I remember it well when I started, and there was so much I didn't know. Somebody said something about a banjo, and I thought they were talking about a musical instrument,
right?
So it's one of those things you do, especially when you're beginning. And some of us that have been turning for a while and just take a lot of this information for granted.
Correct.
We don't realize we got folks on here that maybe they haven't even bought a lathe yet, but they're interested and want to learn. And the more information we can put out there and the better we can serve those folks, the better it's going to be for all of us in the end.
Absolutely. And it's unfortunate, some of the Facebook groups and, so this kid that I just started mentoring here, the last few days, and then he sent me to one of the Facebook groups, and he was just tore up by very experienced and to some point famous turners. Mm-hmm. And when all he was doing was asking for guidance, and instead of him getting guidance, he was ridiculed and condescended to, and but then thankfully it happened because he found me, and now he's found our group, and eventually he's going to start attending the meetings. He's got a hectic schedule. He's an IT business owner, and so he doesn't have much time in the evening hours to attend, but he's trying to catch up on meetings on his own time. But it's unfortunate, and
well, some of those Facebook groups, they can be, it's just them.
They're brutal. Man. And unfortunately, this one group, it was a beginning Facebook group, and she was,
some of them are snobs.
Unfortunate.
All right. Let's not talk bad about anybody.
Oh no, well, I'm not naming any names.
No.
I might be narrowing it a little bit, but you know, it's nobody that is on the group tonight.
All right. Now you talk about narrowing them. I'll bring it down even closer. No, I won't. And we have to be fearful, or novice. I won't say new turners or young turners or whatever. Novice turners are looking at these programs, meetings, YouTubes, Facebooks, whatever, and they're seeking information. Now that is kind of one-sided information. You're getting only what the demonstrator is giving you, and to say, hey, wait a minute, why did you start with such and such and wrap up, and what kind of wax are you using and all that? Because if you fly through it too fast, a novice turner may miss it or misunderstand it. And that's what the beauty of this group is. If you misunderstand it, we have 80 or 90 people that are going to correct us. And that's the beauty of it, or give their opinion. And I love that about this. We have more information available to us than any other organization in the entire or.
And the other thing is that we give all these options for things and different ways to do it, not supporting one company or one product. Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, you got to go out and buy such and such to make this happen. Right. I've never believed that you got to go buy a tool to make this happen. I never have. And somebody said tonight, how do you make that 3-point tool? And in our chat, there's a couple of links on people like Sam Angelo's got a video on how to make it. I got mine from a guy that was just too darn cheap to buy one. And he had a way to make it, and it worked. I still have it. It still functions. So we're sharing information, and that's the key. With that, we have 20 minutes left. Trace in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, wants to give us a few moments on his ornamental lathe to show how he does a, what do you call it, Trace?
Tri-finial.
We gave it a new name.
Tri-finial.
A
Go ahead,
tri-finial.
take it away, Trey.
Cool.
Let me show you a couple of them I did. Well, first thing, let me switch off my face and put something else on that looks better.
Oh yeah, please.
There's the lathe. The lathe looks much
Success.
better. Okay. That's a tri-finial. It's a finial with 3 parts. And it's turned on the rose edge. And by the way, the African blackwood cuts better than the maple did.
Is the Blackwood what you were doing earlier this afternoon, Jay?
Yes, it is. And I'm going to show you the same piece I had on earlier this afternoon. That's the reason why I want to go ahead and show it.
Cool.
I'm going to have to move my camera. I'll move down the piece some.
While he's setting it up, this is on a Lindau White ornamental lathe. But there are plans out in the world to make one out of MDF. Mine is out of metal. I made it before that MDF came out. His weighs about 1,000 pounds. It's as rock solid as can be. Mine weighs 300 pounds and dances all over the counter. So, but I could always have my hopes to get me a better one. All right, show us how this gizmo works, man. It's called the lathe.
Okay. First I'll just show you the whole overall lathe. Okay, that's the rose engine lathe. Now,
we're looking at the color again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There we go.
Okay, there it is. Okay.
Thank you, Apple TV.
Wow.
What I'm doing is I'm rubbing on this rosette that's on the end of it. That's called a rosette, and it's a pattern bar is what it is. And it has 3 lobes on it, which is going to give me the 3 things on it. And I have a rubber that's rubbing against the outside of it, which is nothing more than a follower. And I also had set the stop over here to prevent it from going all the way down to the very bottom. It's about 25 thousandths that does not go all the way to the bottom. But let's go ahead and make a cut and show you what it does. Okay, I'll go ahead and
Still
start.
we're looking at the rosettes.
Well, this,
There we are. Now we're at the cutter head.
cutter part. I backed it off some, but when I stop it, I usually back it out of the cut. So
Now the headstock is moving, the cutter is adjustable.
this headstock is going back and forth. You notice this is moving in and out. The cutter's in one spot. The headstock is moving back and forth.
The degree of cut's adjusted by moving the cutter that's on the top of the photograph.
When I'm only going to adjust.
There you go.
Okay, I'm gonna adjust this in. I'm gonna move it in 20 thousandths.
Now, Trey, does it always go that speed? It seems very slow. Is that how it?
It goes
is?
to whatever speed. Well, look how fast the hand crank's moving.
Yeah, okay, I see that.
I can do it by hand or power it. The control that I have over here, this control box allows me to change the rotational speed.
Okay.
To whatever I want. And I can do the same thing with another control box for the cutter. So I can change the cutter speed.
Hey, Trace, so basically you got an XY axis attached to your cutter and your headstock rotates based off the rosette. Is that correct?
Yes, and it's rocking. The headstock is rocking. So if you can see, it's pivoting about this point here. This rocks back and forth, pivoting about that point.
The arbor. Yep.
Yeah.
This complete shaft rocks back and forth. Now I'm capable of also making it go this way instead of just this way. But in this case, all I'm doing is rocking it back and forth. I'm doing it.
It's quite the setup.
Now, in front of you, all those rosettes you're looking at in the center of the image, those are different patterns that he can follow with different rubbers, like that. Those two on an angle right there. Either one, he could set it up and read one or more of those templates.
Yeah, I can rub on one here and rub on one here too at the same time. And it's something that you actually do because I'm only hitting 3 points on this one. I could go to a 24 bump on this one and catch it in the time when it's shallow. So I pick it up and then they'll go back and forth to each other. But capable of changing the angle of this to the cutter, angle of this to the cutter, etc. But right now it's just a straightforward, simple moving in on it. And it takes a long time because I'm going in 20 thousandths every time I adjust it. So that means I have to adjust it, 50 times per inch? So it takes a while making the cut. And if I try to go too fast on it, the cutter binds up on it.
Folks think I used to joke about this is when I would watch a good movie on TV.
Well, I just had dish out here. I had to redo it. My cable wasn't working properly. The other thing I've done, I don't know whether you noticed it, but this has a bigger opening than that side. And what I've done is I've set this guide here. I've adjusted it 1 degree out. So I have a 2 degree inclusive angle change from the top to the bottom when I go down it. This is set square, but I've adjusted and rotated this top piece by 2 degrees. So I have a taper from one end to the next.
I think you have to be an engineer to understand all this.
We are engineers over turners.
Yeah,
I
don't let
agree,
it.
and I am no engineer.
Yes, you are, Brenda.
This is complicated.
Not, you know, Brenda, I'm not going to shortcut this, but a lot of this is try and fail and try and achieve. And what Trace is doing here, this is one portion of what an ornamental lathe can do for you. And don't be scared of it. They do some awesome work. They're a simple device, and they've been around for a couple of thousand years.
That's saying too much, but they've been around at least for 400 years.
Yeah, the motorized ones, the water propelled ones
No,
were.
they were hand cranked back then.
Yeah.
You know, back in the 1800s, they were hand cranked. So
that entire finial is made on this machine?
yeah. Well, I did the initial turning right here. I'm gonna put my hand in the cutter on my regular lathe.
Okay.
I rounded it off. I put a tenon on it. I put this on there, put it on there, rounded it off, put a tenon on there, and then moved it to the other. Moved it.
Wow.
I have a number one. This is number one. My lathe is a number one too. This is also a number two Morris taper. So if I want more accuracy, I can actually pull it out and put the taper into my regular lathe and move it back and forth that way.
Huh.
How did you hollow down the center?
It's cutting it down the center.
Machine cuts it.
The machine is going, notice the machine is going in. It's going in towards the cutter when it gets to the center part.
And then it backs off.
And then it backs off again.
From the rocking motion.
It's from that rocking motion.
So when you look at the base of the finial, you can see how it's arcing in and arcing out. If you can, Trey, can you do the camera view back on the cutter?
Sure.
There you go.
Now, maybe you can.
So now you see how it's cutting.
Yeah. Now he's on at 1 degree in, so what you see at the tip on far left side is open and whole, and as he moved down the piece, because the piece is straight, he's tapered to cut.
That opening is getting smaller and smaller. And then,
so will the inside of the triangular spaces right now, will those also be rounded off because they're sharp right now?
No, I'll take a little piece of sandpaper.
Okay, yeah, understood.
Yeah, I just take a little piece of sandpaper and rub down the inside just a little bit, just to knock the real sharp point off.
Okay, that's understood.
And I'll have to ran sandpaper down this to take any variation off when going down it.
Okay.
So if you don't have an ornamental lathe, could you do this by using a jig with a router? With
absolutely
like a code tool or something.
Yep.
But if you can do it on a standard lathe with the way you're talking about, but you have to hand power the drive.
Roger. Yeah. I can see that with the hand power your router to go on a parallel axis of this spindle.
Well, that can be in your jig. I'm talking about the headstock. You can't put that on a motorized power unless you got something extremely slow like this.
Some Rose engine lathes, instead of moving the headstock, they move the cutter. But what you have to do is you have to synchronize the motion of the cutter on a cam to the rotation of the lathe. And it's going to have to be a slow motion rotation, so it's going to be hand cranked.
Okay, yeah. I was just thinking of using the index that's on the lathe for 3 different positions and then routing a groove and then using sandpaper to clean up the center.
You could do that, but you're not going to get this in the tip.
Right.
It would be a little different, but it's, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
The cat doesn't like that.
The quickest way to do it, if you didn't have it, would be, use a handsaw and then shape everything with your sandpaper.
Oh boy!
Compared to setting up a router jig and everything, you just aim to do it without something like that.
See, Brenda, you're in the game.
Nope,
Nope.
it's above
Not-
me.
Brenda says not it.
Nope.
On that last symposium that they had, Wood Turning Worldwide Symposium, there was a gentleman on there doing plates for the, mount on the wall hangings, and he had set up a rosette on his lathe and was moving the cutter, moving a cutter back and forth to it to make the basic cuts.
I've got a video on that I did that early on when I wanted to build an ornamental. And it worked. You were reading the rosette on the other end of the operation.
Hey, Eddie, is it on our website now?
No, not mine. It's not yet. I don't know if David's he's got a lot of mine up there. I have to see if that one's even still available, but I can put it back.
Well, the easiest way would be to make an MDF rose engine. That would still do the same cut. So
yeah, a link for that was put in the chat already.
Yeah, and basically it's using MDF for the basic support and the arms and that kind of stuff, and then your shaft is going to be metal, of course, and then the rosettes are coming. You put a rosette on it.
Now the shaft and rosettes are available retail from some suppliers that are very, very specialized. You're not gonna find it in the big books.
So an MDF would be the easiest way to do it. It'd be a lot cheaper too.
Very nice, Trey. This has been so interesting.
But it's, as I say, it's a different, and that's getting pretty close to how far I want to go down. So I'll take that and throw that back on my lathe, so I can turn the bottom of it and put a little tenon on the bottom. It's about time to do that. So I still have enough room down there to do that with. But anyhow, I showed the tri-finial a couple of weeks ago, so I thought I'd go ahead and, it would it takes hours to cut because it's, you see how slowly you go down it. So
yeah. Better get your dish fixed. All right.
He's fixed it.
All right. Now, thank you, Tracy.
Well, the other thing I can do is I can go to my Wednesday meetings and do it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
you can get 3 done during that.
No, I get half of one done.
Yeah, not that quick. But thank you, Trace. Beautiful. Thank you.
Nice, Trace. Thanks.
This is one great. It's another way of turning. It is. It's ornamental lathe. Get that now. Lindow, Lindow White. Get this. That guy got started building clocks, and he still does. But they have excellent information on their site, great demos and details. I have a bunch of friends that have these machines, and they absolutely love them. And it's a step. It is a step.
Now, AAW has a chapter that's an Ornamental Turning International chapter. And there's also a chapter out of England, SOT, that's ornamental turners.
And if you see the work they turn out, it'll make your head hurt.
Well, one thing I want to talk about our website for a second. I worked with David a lot this week, and he did a great job on updating our event calendar. And
let's go back to your face of nothing.
Okay, updating the event calendar. And what we need to do for all of you, if you have any events coming up, make sure you send it to webmaster at worldwidewoodturning.org, or if you know a professional turner, get them to start sending their events to that same location. And David will post it on our website. So our goal needs to be very, very inclusive of everything that's going on in wood turning to get it on a website. I've already talked to Cindy. Cindy's putting her stuff out there. Kate's got his stuff out there. So any events coming up wood turning wide, especially events that are available to everybody, even if you got to pay, they're still available through the internet, especially any of those Zoom events or any of those coming up. Make sure that you get with them and get them to start sending it to Dave so he can post it.
And remember, folks, whatever you pay on IRD is cheaper than it costs you on gas to get there in today's market.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Even if it's across town.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got
All
a
right.
question about the events page.
Go ahead.
Brenda.
I'm going to have a garage sale. Can I post my garage sale on there?
I guess if you want to.
Do you have any turning tools you're selling?
Oh, no.
Anything we can make a 3-point tool out of?
Brenda, what are you doing? Getting rid of stuff so I've got space to sleep on the floor there?
No, actually, I was just kidding. I'm not even having a garage sale.
I know. So speaking of which, now I got, now that you're there and now that I'm yakking. So next Wednesday, you're it for gallery. I need you to take over gallery for me because I'm going to be on the road and I'm not going to be on the internet or anything. So.
Okay.
So if you can do that, that would be great.
I'll be here.
And then hopefully the following Wednesday, supposedly my mother-in-law has internet access now and got Wi-Fi, and so I'll see if I'll be able to chime into the meetings then. But good possibility, Eddie. I'll be out of the loop for the whole month of May, other than on email.
Where you headed?
I'm going back to Nolan Lake, Clarkson, Kentucky.
Okay.
For a month. And so during that time, I plan on seeing Greg Bray, and then I plan on making the trip up to the wonderful state of Ohio and spending a day with Brenda.
Yay!
Yay!
You'll be driving right by me, so you better check on me.
Well, I'm fixing to head up north. Next Wednesday, I'm getting on the road headed towards Dayton.
Dayton?
Yeah.
It's about an hour from me.
It's not far from Dayton.
Yeah, I'm fixing to go up there. I'm gonna spend at least 2 weeks up in Wright-Patterson, and then I'm gonna mess around up there for another couple weeks or so.
Well, you should go over and see Brenda.
Yeah, come over.
She's in Greenville.
Ohio. It's only 7.5 hours
I
from
need to
me.
get some locations on that, on everything to go say hi to everybody.
Right?
And that's
And like Doug said, he's outside of Cincinnati on the other side of the river.
It's probably about 4 or 5 hours from me.
Okay, here's the deal, folks. All right.
That's
David, our webmaster, has taken care of that. Yeah. If you wonder, you can go to the map on our website page, and that'll give you a location of all the members who have told David where they live, just the area. Okay. But then on our website, you can ask for a contact list, and we will, if you follow the rules, and they're all on a page, and then we can email you, or Dave will email you automatically the contact list, and you can see all the folks who've decided to share their information. And remember, we don't have a membership list. We don't have any contacts. We don't have any formal program. This is completely voluntary. If you'd like to be on our contact list, put your information in chat. David gets it out of chat before he puts a chat on the internet. And he adds your information, just what you want, onto the contact list. If you want your name, your address, your phone number, your dog's name, whatever you want, it can be on that chat, on that contact list. But we're not commercial. Don't put an ad on there. And if you want to be on a contact list, put it in our chat, send it there, or email it to David, and or put it on our contact that's on our website. The email is the best way. And we will share that information with members. And why is it complicated? Because we all get enough bot calls and bot mails and crap and spam, and we don't want it. I don't want it. You don't want it, unless you're looking to pay off your college loan. But this is why we did the contact list. And it's what we're doing to spread the word about wood turning. As Trace said, if it has to do with wood turning, Worldwide Wood Turners wants to be part of it. That's worldwidewoodturners.org, and it is your wood turning club, and it's your free wood turning club. And if you have friends that turn wood, tell them how to join us, and we'll be here for them. It's after the top of the hour. We normally try to pull the plug on it about this time. And we'll be back again next Wednesday evening, 6 o'clock Central Time. And we go until 9 o'clock Central Time. And we have a gallery and everything else that you've seen. And we invite your participation, as we say. It is all for wood turning.
Hey, Eddie, we got four people for gallery. Can we breeze through them?
Oh, let's go through them quickly.
All right, sounds good. Bill Luce, you're up, buddy.
Talk, Bill.
Yes. Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for the chance to show some stuff that I've been working on. I have 4 sons, and so I hadn't thought about this 40 years ago, but that led to 4 daughters-in-law. And so whenever I start turning something, I always have to make more than one. Sometimes I have to make 4. Sometimes I have to make 5 if my wife wants one. Anyway, I've been making potpourri bowls. So this is glue up, cherry, maple, and catalpa. The insert is pewter from Lee Valley. Some of you will know Lee Valley is an online hardware store in Canada. That was the first one. Second one is, and there are 3 different insets. This one is a butterfly. They've also got a hummingbird, and the third one is a tulip. This one is a piece of apple. And so there's there's a little rim to catch the lid here. There's a little, we were talking earlier about sapwood and heartwood. You can see there's the difference in apple. And the third one is a piece of big leaf maple. And there's the hummingbird insert. Yeah. This
Very
one.
nice, Bill.
Yeah.
Nice. Beautiful. Nice wood.
Nice job.
Really.
Yeah.
Real nice.
You fellas are interested, the inserts are US about $6 or $6.25 a piece, I think.
Right on.
Nice piece for a gift.
Appreciate
Really
it.
does.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Doug. He's got something.
Yes. Yeah, I was asked to make a yarn bowl, pulled out a piece of wood, and it was not cooperating for a yarn bowl. So I ended up with a trumpet shape, a trumpet bell shape. Cherry, everything is it's sanded to 320 and then a abrasive paste. I've got I think 3 coats of wax on it at this point. Yeah, you can see it, that little knot right there. It does go all the way through, and it was right in this section right here where I was finding that rot. It's kind of like a dry rot. I could stick my fingernail into it. It was real soft. I just had to keep cutting it away, and this is all I could end up with. Turned out to be real nice. I like it.
Beautiful.
There's our favorite spot, Eddie, right there.
Yes.
Got those 2 limbs coming out. Yeah, it's nice. Doug.
Yeah, it came out real nice. So that's what I've got this week.
Yeah,
Thank you,
job.
Doug.
Cool. Very nice.
All right, Joaquin, you're up next. Joaquin with a J. Oh, he 86'd again. Let's see, Dave Kingsley. You still there?
I'm still here.
All righty.
I got back to my first love this week with some bowls. And this is walnut. It's about 10 inches.
Got a bird in it.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the
I'm
Phoenix.
I'm making another one with a bush. so,
Yes,
Yeah, it looks like a phoenix.
Yeah.
beautiful.
And
Fire.
this one's out of ash.
Oh, nice
Both
piece.
about
Of
they're both about 10 inches, but this one is considerably deeper.
Both got nice.
And yep, I've even got some sapwood.
Beautiful.
But
Nice.
yeah,
Very
and they're
nice,
both
Dave.
just several coats of teak oil.
Yeah.
All right.
Not sure
Keep
how
going
many.
on the teak oil.
Yep, love it. That's
Thank
it.
you, Dave.
Right on. Appreciate it. Okay.
Very nice.
Well, that's it for gallery tonight, folks.
Wow.
If I missed you, shout out real quick. Otherwise, back to Eddie.
I have a couple of things, but I can wait till next week if it's getting too late.
Y'all want to, it's Cade,
It's Cade. We got to do Cade.
I
Yeah,
know.
that's Cash's daddy, so you got to listen to him.
Yeah,
Right?
you don't know if
Right.
Cash turned it. He's taking credit for this, but Cash is getting big enough to be in the shop.
Oh my goodness, I got to
I
shave.
know,
You
right?
can see all my grays.
No. Show us the work. Come on.
But yeah.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with gray, own it.
Nothing wrong with the gray.
So
What do you
last,
know about
Sells
Gray,
32.
Dane?
it's just experience.
That's right.
Right. So last Wednesday I was working on a pipe and I got that finished. So here's the pipe. It was a piece pipe I was making for a local reserve chief. So it's made out of olive ash. All one piece. The mouthpiece is white-tailed deer antler. And here is actually, yep. Here's the rack I cut it from. This piece right here.
Wow.
So the outside is just oiled with a diluted linseed or no, tung oil. There's no finish on the inside because we don't want to be smoking finish or plastics or toxins. So the inside and the inside of the stem are all natural. The outside only has 2 coats of an oil finish, and then the outside will be waxed. The white-tailed deer antler was finished with CA glue and then waxed. So, and the whole piece, bowl to the tip, is like 13.5 inches long.
Beautiful.
So that's the pipe I did.
Not that we condone smoking here, folks. Okay, we don't want to lose.
What do they smoke in those pipes?
I don't know. I don't ask. I just make the pipe for them. They can smoke whatever they like. But it's a traditional peace pipe, so I imagine they're smoking tobacco or.
Hey, it's got to be peace. They want to be
Some type of
mellow.
hallucinogen in there.
Yeah, maybe something to mellow them out.
Yeah.
I ordered the M6 screws off Amazon. It took forever to come, but I got them. And what I did was, rather than using rubber tubing, I used closed cell foam. So I ordered closed cell foam tubing on Amazon. I cut them to the length of the M6 screw. They have a washer, and these are for doing ladles, spoons, pipes. So I made them out of closed cell foam, and I got them on Amazon. Now you can get them in many different sizes. The type I got with the 1/4 inch hole, so it fit the M6 screws. They come in a set of 6, but they come in a wide variety of outer diameter and inner diameter. So one person that said at Martin's meeting was, it would be a good idea. We could use these, say, if you're traveling to do a demo or you're traveling with your tools. This is a 3/8 inch spindle gouge, the 1/4 inch hole. But I can actually put this in here I can throw it in my suitcase or travel with it. My tools aren't going to get dull. Well, all my clothes and stuff in my suitcase aren't going to become holy. So that's a benefit as well. But what it says on the back is it sort of advertises for toothbrushes and spoons and bottles for people who have rheumatoid arthritis or hand problems. You can get a bigger hole on the inside, and you could probably even put them on tool handles.
What brand is that? Turn it around. What's on the other side, brand wise?
Ableware, SP Ableware, and it's just foam tubing, closed cell foam tubing. So if you Google closed cell foam tubing
Hundreds
on
of options.
Amazon, there's like hundreds and hundreds of options.
Well, that's
And
what I did. I saw the gobs and gobs of options. I wanted to know which brand that you wound up with. So
yeah, I wound up with the SP.
Hold up the back. It's got the QR code on there so people can take a screenshot of it.
SP Ableware. Yeah,
That's probably just the packaging.
Yeah, probably made offshore, but packaged in the USA.
Probably designed in USA, probably.
But oh, there's Canada flag there too.
There's a collaboration.
Yeah, so they're pretty handy. And with those, I turned a scoop. So I turned a scoop out of apple wood, and I did some multi-access turning with V beads and round beads. The wood is apple, crab apple. And on the bottom, I made a small little pummel, just in case anybody acts out while you're doing scooping. There's a little Purple Heart pummel on the bottom of the apple wood scoop. So that was fun to do. And then the question I had today when I first came on was, I got a commission for an urn, another urn, and he wanted English oak. But I looked everywhere, I searched everywhere, and I tried to find English oak in North America, and you can't find it anywhere. They have white oak and they have red oak. He was really determined to have English oak because the heritage of the English connection. But it would have cost a fortune to bring that over from the UK. So I talked to him and I said, well, we could use white oak or red oak and I could stain it to match English oak. So I made the urn today. I did the hollowing of the urn today. And one of the questions I had at the beginning of the meeting was which stains would work best to make English oak. So I took a couple variations and I put these on red oak. Now that's Kona, a little too dark. This one is Mission Oak. This one is Golden Pecan, and this one is Provenance. So we talked with Martin and Paul, and they showed a couple variations of English brown oak. And what I did was I did a two-tone dye with the Mission Oak and the Golden Pecan. So I can show you that now because it's on my lathe and I've been painting it during the whole meeting, layering the colors. And I can show you the outside. The inside's painted with just the Mission Oak. I didn't bother to do the two-tone. But
yeah, there you go.
And with the two-tone, you can see the two different colors that went into the different absorption rates of the wood. So I have the lighter and the darker parts, which really, brown oak isn't a specific species. Brown oak is caused by a fungus that affects the tree and turns the wood to a spalted brown oak with lighter whitish colors and rays within it. So this was plain Jane red oak, and I've been layering the colors to achieve the brown English oak. The lid is going to be bird's eye maple.
Nice.
And the finial again is going to be the Carigana with the two-tone bright yellow and purple, red, and brown color contrast like the other ones I've showed. Yeah.
Very nice.
And he stayed that while he was on it, while he was at the meeting.
Turned out well.
Thanks. Thanks. So yeah, next week it should be shined up. Should be shiny. The wall thickness is 1/8 of an inch, but I can show that later. I don't want to handle it and have fingerprints on it as it's starting to dry on me. And then I'll have blotchiness when I put the
Then you have to stand it off and redo it.
finish over it. So yeah, that'll just stay there for a few hours, probably till before I go to bed. So, but that's it for me. So thanks everybody.
Thank you, Kate. Appreciate you showing that.
Night, Kate.
Thank you, Kate. A great stain job, Kate.
Thanks.
All right, folks, we still have almost 50 people staying in
What
the
a
meeting.
collection of characters.
Yeah, the regular list. And I tell you what, tonight, I've got 2 pages of notes from tonight because we covered a lot of stuff and we have a lot to go. So if you want to be part of this, all you have to do is join us next Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock Central. It's your wood turning club. We can't wait to see you there.
I'm looking for
Captain Eddie.
demonstrators. I'm looking for demonstrators, folks.
Yeah. Next week it's Martin Clarkson, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Martin. All right.
That's cool.
With that, folks, good night, John Boy. Be safe.
Good night, everyone.
Good night,
everyone.
Good night, all. Talk to you
Night.
later.
Night,
all. Save the chat.
Oh, yeah,
Save the chat. Thank you, Donald. Save the chat.
Good night, Eddie.
Good night, folks. Take care now. Be safe, no matter what. Brenda, no Band-Aids. All right?
Gotcha.